All right, welcome. Without fanfare, we're jumping in here. I'm gonna exit the screen.
I'm going to call the 8:30 docket. If you are here and ready to go, please let me know and about how long you need this morning. Cause number 2024-28908, Davy versus Hattery. Cause number 2024. Cause number 2023-80683, Thompson versus Habashi. Cause number 2024-05442, Alfaro versus Ayala.
Daniel Johnson on behalf of the plaintiff, Your Honor. I would estimate 5 to 10 minutes. It's a status conference.
You heard from the guardian ad litem this morning?
I have not heard from them.
Take it up in 2 minutes. Cause number 2024-89427, De Leon versus Cortez.
Yes, Your Honor, we're also having to sign in. Your clerk this morning said that you had signed the order.
I did.
I don't need anything further from you. This is the plaintiff's counsel.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Apparently there's an issue, so we'll take it up in a few minutes. We'll just hang around. Let's see, sir. Cause number 2025-54634, Alley versus Navas.
Plaintiff's counsel is present. I'm with the plaintiff.
You're with, okay. We haven't heard from defendant Angelica Navas yet today.
No.
Okay, we'll take it up in a few minutes. Cause number 2025-74256, Kidweiler versus Food. Cause number 2025-81325, US Bank versus Griffith. Cause number 2025-85193, Etria Ventures versus Top Notch.
Present.
Are you Miss Rico?
Yes, sir.
Get you just a second. Have a seat. I'm on Alfaro versus Ayala.
What is happening? Why did it pause? Let me refresh. What's going on here? What happened? Now all of a sudden they're off the bench again. Live. What? Apparently he left the client. Well, I mean, okay, so that happens. Like I've actually been opposing counsel on a case where the other attorney got appointed by the governor for a judgeship, and then she left in the middle of the case. That sort of happens. But why is this not playing? Did they kill the feed? Do they know too many people are watching? Click here to help resolve the issues. Troubleshoot the playback issues. Select the issue. Does not start. There we go. Fix the issue for me. Share this ID with your support team. No. Just play it. I wonder. Man, I wanted to stream this. Just stream it all day. I'm working from home, so I thought I'd sit in the treehouse today and just stream. Let's see. Is Salvador getting the same issue on Dolly Talks channel? Let me find out. Hey, comma, did your stream go out for the 215th district as well? I wonder if they're shutting things down. The whole world is watching. Yes. Yes, the whole world is watching. It just all of a sudden stopped, and I've been trying to refresh it. Let's do this. Let me... District Court stream. Huh. I'm going to shut this down entirely. Let's bring it back up. Oh, this is going to be disappointing if I can't stream this. Do you think he knows? Okay. It's not giving me the buffering wheel anymore. But there's nothing going on. He was on the bench. He was calling all the cases. Well, this is disappointing. Let's see if Sal had the same issue. Oh, I think he switched off of it before the pause. All right. Oh, no. We're live again. We're live. I see people moving. Okay. There's just no. All right. So something happened. All right. We're live again. Okay. So this is the judge out of Texas that went viral when he was extremely super mean to a IT worker who was trying to fix an audio connection with his computer. Then, after that went viral, a bunch of other videos came out purported to showing the judge overreacting to attorneys that are not moving their cases along, that are not appearing. He sanctioned one attorney, I think, $5,000 for missing several hearings. All of that is justifiable. I think it's more the tone. But then there were leaked emails that purport that this judge was extremely rude to his staff. I think a clerk wanted to switch off and go to another courtroom, and he said, no, by order of the court, she is to remain here, things like that. So this guy's getting kind of a reputation of being kind of a dick. And then TMZ's been digging deep into this guy and found that he's not paid his campaign finance fees, and he's got fines for that. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of stream this guy today and just see what he's like on a daily basis. So my plan, assuming the feed stays up, is to stream this guy for the entire day. It may be more. We'll see how entertaining he ends up being. So, but I am working, so I'm going to be off in the background. I did set a goal. If we get enough super chats, I'll be back and I'll offer commentary. Not that I'm expecting you guys to do that. It was just sort of an internal thing. But while he's not on the bench, I thought I'd pop on and say a few things about him. There was a judge in Michigan here. By the way, Welcome to Making Law Simple. My name is David Helm, a licensed practicing attorney in the state of Michigan, and this is my channel. And from time to time, I stream. I've been trying to do it more regular than I have been, but that seems hard. Being a practicing attorney, I handle criminal defense, criminal appellate matters, so appeals for criminal cases, as well as family law matters, both trial and appeal, and a few civil things. So that's my background and experience. But there was a judge in Livingston County, which is north of Ann Arbor. She was like this. Her temperament was just kind of like this, like kind of nasty to everybody, nasty to the attorneys, nasty to her clerks. And she was eventually caught, and this is how she was caught. And I had another conversation with another attorney just a couple days ago about her before this guy blew up. Because when you take one case to appeal, or you have like one complaint to the Judicial Tenure Committee, it's sort of isolated. You don't see a pattern. But what this judge did was she had an affair with the lead investigator on a murder case of a case that she was the presiding judge over. And she had the affair while the trial was going. So then I think her husband found out about it, filed for divorce, and she was randomly selected as the judge for that divorce case, which happens, but you're supposed to recuse yourself immediately. Well, she didn't recuse herself immediately, and I think it was because there was a status quo order, an ex parte order that would have been entered, and she wanted the opportunity, at least the allegation is that she wanted the opportunity to delete a bunch of text messages and emails and other things and call people to kind of hide this stuff before she recused herself, and another judge got the case and executed the ex parte order. So when all of that came to light through her divorce proceedings, then they started looking deeper into how she was treating her staff and other attorneys, and she ended up getting disbarred, kicked off the bench, sent to jail, if not prison, for a while. And so that's what happened to her, but it all came to light because of some weird random thing. It's not because it was like one isolated incident. There was a ton of stuff going on in the background that it was just impossible or too difficult to actually catch her on. And so that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from this judge, at least from the clips. And hopefully we can see an entire day with this judge and get sort of a better idea as to how he handles his courtroom. Are they just isolated clips that make him look really bad, that stretch out over, months? Was it just one bad day? Or is he like this all the time? So that's kind of why I wanted to do this. He filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy in May 2025. What is Chapter 13? I am not a bankruptcy attorney. However, there are different so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. There are different chapters of bankruptcy. 2 of them have to do with businesses and 2 of them have to do with persons. And one for each has to do with discharging of debt, and the other one has to do with reorganization of debt. And so under like a Chapter 7 would be a personal discharge of debt. And I believe, but I might be wrong, that Chapter 13 is a reorganization of personal debt. So that means that the debt doesn't get discharged, it gets reorganized, and you get basically on a payment plan. You follow that payment plan. After you successfully completed that, the remainder is discharged. That's what I believe Chapter 13. And then there's Chapter 11, which I think is for businesses. Yeah, allows an individual to restructure their debt, and they have 3 to 5 years to make the payments according to the payment arrangement that's set up by the bankruptcy trustee. And it says it's often used to make sure you avoid foreclosure and retain non-exempt assets. So when you file for bankruptcy, if it's like a Chapter 7, you can exempt certain properties, but only to a certain value. And if you want to maintain those properties, like your home, an expensive car, a boat, whatever it may be, then you want to do Chapter 13. But again, I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Yeah, you get to keep your assets. Yeah. So that's where we are. Yeah, so I did hear that this morning, and it's funny because TMZ is like diving deep. TMZ, I think, got in a bad way with this judge when he was like yelling at the IT guy, because that was like unnecessary. And like somebody at TMZ was like, this guy needs to, we're gonna do some digging into this guy. Let me see if I can pull it up if you guys aren't familiar with that, which unless, I mean, you guys are here watching me on YouTube, so you've got to be familiar with this judge in some way. But let me see if I can pull this up and show you what I keep posting. What a dick.
You just joined from the audio here, right? Yeah,
Let me see here. All right. So this is the first thing that went viral.
Of course you don't. And you're just joined from the audio here, right? Yeah, it should be. You see, sir, sorry.
Mariah, did I make this up?
5 seconds. 1 second. You don't have to go far. You're just joined. Okay. Yeah, you're good. Okay. False alarm.
No, it wasn't a false alarm.
False negative. Sorry.
Don't joke around. I'm serious about this. It was happening again.
I understand. I'm just saying I can't see it, sir.
We're good. Thank you. Get out of my courtroom. Fine case supervisor. Jesus Christ. Sick and tired of this bullshit today.
So that's the judge. Now he said,
Of course you don't.
And you're just joined from the audio here, right?
he said, find his supervisor. Apparently, there was a report from the court administrator's office that the IT guy has not been disciplined in any way. I like him. He has spunk. Of course you do. You talking about me? All right. So now this is this. I tweeted out again. What a dick.
I can't read that.
Those are the overlapping stores between the stores outlined.
You're wasting my time this morning.
No, Judge, I mean, we have an overlapping issue in these two cases.
They don't seem to be that overlapping to me.
Well, we have the same
You want to
parties.
go to Jefferson County because you want Jefferson County jury.
No, I mean, Judge, we're the defendants in the case.
Okay.
We're they're plaintiffs. We haven't filed either one of these cases. They filed this case
Lien abatement
first.
is denied.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We filed a proposed order, but I have one here if you want.
Take it.
Jeff, you want to briefly respond
You
about.
may not.
Well-
This hearing is done.
She's asking for a sanction.
Deputy, remove her from my bench now.
See, that's the stuff. Deputy, remove her from my bench.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No, you may not. This hearing is over. Jesus Christ, these people today.
Jesus Christ, these people today. Seems to be a tagline of his.
Step away. You're about to be cuffed.
See, it's that. I mean, again, I don't know what the backstory is with that particular case and that particular attorney. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it's a bad day, maybe it's a bad case, and we're taking all these clips. And so that's, again, another reason why I want to sort of stream him and see exactly what's going on. Let me see if I could find this other story. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So there was an attorney that had no case in front of him that sent him, but practices in that county, and sent him a letter saying, hey, I think you need to apologize to the IT guy. And the judge emailed back saying, this is ex parte communication. Appear before me on April 9th to show cause why you should not be in contempt of court. And so the attorney is apparently a part of a legal defense association, something similar to what I do with the court appointed work. And they have responded by saying that they're going to show up in full force to support this attorney.
Brent Mayer, President, Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Our organization stands up for good judges who do the right thing and bad judges who don't. By now, many of you have seen or heard about this Harris County judge treating a court staff employee
It's actually April 9th. It was scheduled for the 10th, but then they realized that they didn't have court on the 10th.
in an absolutely inappropriate and humiliating manner.
False negative. Sorry.
Don't joke around. I'm serious about this. It was happening.
I understand.
Again,
I understand. I'm just saying, I can't see it, sir.
we're good. Thank you. Get out of my courtroom. Find his supervisor. Jesus Christ. Sick and tired of this bullshit today.
There is no question that judges should not act like that.
I agree.
One of our members recognized that, wrote to the judge to let him know that is not how a judge should treat people, and demanded an apology to the employee. But this just wasn't any member of our organization. This was James Stafford, a Harris County criminal defense
He
lawyer
looks
for
well
over
learned.
50 years, Lifetime Achievement Award recipient in 2012, Unsung Hero Award winner in 2016. He worked as a briefing attorney for the respected Judge Myron Love.
I worked as a
So he
briefing
understands
attorney.
the importance of judicial temperament and how a judge treats their employees. And as a citizen and an attorney who has stood up and fought for the little man for over 50 years, James decided to express his opinions to this judge, not in court, not in a case before this judge. And now this judge with a questionable temperament is trying to order James Stafford to appear before him on April 9th to address James's opinion, his expressions as a citizen, as a voter, protected by the First Amendment, no different than the opinions shared here or by thousands of other people across the internet. James won't be the only person to appear before this judge next Thursday. The Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association will be there in support of James and in support of our valuable constitutional rights, including our First Amendment right to free
Hey,
speech
Christine.
that thousands of people like you are exercising by calling this judge out for his bad behavior. Stay tuned for more.
How much is your relationship ID or membership ID? Membership ID for what? And we are still doing nothing in this courtroom. But I see a head moving. See a head moving over here. So I know we're live. I'm not sure what your membership you're referring to. Like for YouTube, I don't even know if I have membership. I stream so irregularly. My channel, I honestly I don't know. Do I even have memberships? I have to imagine I do. You're welcome to join. Let's see here. Let me go to my I don't even know where I go anymore. For audience content trend, no. Let's see here. Memberships. I have levels. Let me see the levels. I have $1.99 you can join as a law student, or $4.99 you can join as a paralegal. I'm actually going to be doing a member stream soon. I have another story about another judge, and I want to do it as a edited video, not as a live stream, but I need to create the video. So rather than creating it in the dark, I'm going to create it as a member only stream and then edit it down after the fact to put it out into the public. So that's my plan for at least upcoming member streams. Don't worry about it. I'm in the chat. Yeah, you're fine. Memberships are available. So I thought he was in like the middle of a trial or something. He called a bunch of cases. At least like 12 cases he called this morning before we had the glitch. And then, so I thought he was going to be calling them. It sounded like a lot of them were pre-trials, which from the clips that I've seen, he conducts pre-trials on the record, not in chambers. So we should be going live at some point. I also tried to look up a docket for this court to see if there were how many scheduled cases for today in front of this judge, and I wasn't able to find anything. So we are going to be stuck just sort of waiting. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. And I was working, so I was in the middle of stuff. Let me see if I can continue to work while talking to you all, which should be fun. Hey, if anybody knows an attorney down in Dallas, Texas, I need a referral. So Dallas, Texas, civil attorney. That's what I'm looking for. And this is in the 162nd District Court. So I need a civil attorney in the 162nd District Court to refer a client to. Well, if you guys know anybody, let me know. The Zachariah Anderson musical. That has been, I have been so busy. And I think the problem with the Zachariah Anderson documentary, not musical, is that I have my standards are my expectations for myself are too high and I keep falling short of them, if that makes sense. Like I have a vision in my mind and then after that vision kept changing consistently, I think I set my standards too high. What I want to do is I would say beyond my time capabilities. So I got to figure out something. Although I want to have Solomon back on, Zach's brother, so we can do sort of an update stream. So I'm going to try to reach out to him and do that because we do have a series called Barely Interesting, if you guys recall, that where Solomon and I talked about the case. So I want to bring that back and talk to Solomon a little bit more about the case, about his brother's case, and what's going on with that. So that is in the plans. I see another court officer walking by. Kurt is in Austin. Yeah, Kurt is in Austin. Hey, really? Dallas attorney here? Are you really? I'm gonna drop my email in the chat, my work email. Because I really do need a Dallas attorney. Shoot me an email and then I can follow up with you. That would be great. Yes, and free Zachariah Anderson. Free Rick Allen too. But mainly Zachariah Anderson. I didn't really follow the Rick Allen case. Although I know from what I heard it's kind of crap. So I don't know. I haven't seen that there's been a delay since the last delay. So for those of you who are wondering, Zachariah Anderson filed a motion at the trial court level, essentially to get a new trial, and all the judges recused themselves. And so they had to find a new judge, and I think they have a new court even involved with that. So that should be good. All right. With any luck, we're going to get going on this, and I can get out of the way. Kurt moved from Austin and lives near Nate in Houston. Well, neither one of those is Dallas. Is his audio not working? Are we having issues with his audio again? Do we need to get the IT guy in here? The volume's up. Let me make sure I'm sharing this properly. Hang on. I'll be right back with that. Yep. All right. it's being shared properly. I just don't hear anything. They must have their audio turned off. Yeah, Dallas Far. How many viewers does this stream have? This is okay. So the interesting thing is this is not on YouTube or anything like that. This is actually from the court's website. They stream it directly to their website. So I don't know how many viewers they actually have. If I minimize this, you could see it's just the court's website. And that's why I kind of wanted to stream it too, because it's not saved after the fact. And unless you stream it live, you really don't have any record of the entire day's proceedings. Again, the goal here is to figure out if this judge is truly as bad as everyone says he is, or he appears from the clips. Or again, like if it was just a bad day, or, those clips are obviously out of context because they're only clips. So by nature, they're out of context. So let's see how the day goes. Wait, 69 are watching what? Me? 69 aren't watching me. How do you know that 69 people are watching? Where does it say that? It has 52,000 total views. Where does it say 69 are watching? Salvador's just making stuff up. All right, you have fun with your farm chores. Hey, welcome. All right, I got your email. Thank you for that. Once this court actually goes live, I'm going to jump off the live stream and just leave the courtroom going, and then I'll email you back. And I don't want to talk about client stuff on stream, so maybe we can do a phone call. It's probably best. Top left, you hover over it. Oh, 71. Oh, I see that. Oh, okay. So 70 are watching right now. 62,000 total views. 71 are watching currently. Oh, that's interesting how that does that. It's at this right up here in the top corner. You can see, well, now it's, there we go, 70. I don't like that. This is better for now, if I'm going to be on. I bet you that's more views than he had last week. Hey. Yes, it is MLS. Streaming for a change. This judge was curious to me. I wanted to see what he was all about. So what else you guys got going on? Any good trials going on right now? I know there's a trial that Baker's covering where this guy's representing himself. That seems like a disaster. He's probably going to be found guilty. I don't know. I think he strong-armed robbed somebody or something like that. I don't. It's not a murder case or anything. Nothing terribly bad, but he's just doing an awful job representing himself. People, don't represent yourself. If you're an attorney, don't represent yourself. Get someone else to represent you. At least he's wearing a tie this day. He wasn't wearing a tie the other day, the judge. Wait, why can't I hear anything? The hell? Come on. No, I could do that. Why can't I hear anything? He must not be on the record, but he's got to be on the record. He's talking to a woman who looks like Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man at the bench. Maybe he's not on the record. Maybe he's just giving her some paperwork. Muted for you too. Okay, good. It's not just me. Go on the record, man. You're watching a trial right now where an officer was ambushed and murdered in Wisconsin? Ooh. I miss streaming trials, but then I don't. Because there's a lot of downtime in them. I like how Law Talk with Mike does it, where he streams stuff and then pops in every once in a while, but he's not constantly on stream. I feel like that would be easier to do. If I can somehow just work constantly from the treehouse, I can make this happen. Oh, the Tim Olson trial was couple. Did he get found guilty? He got 33 years. Yeah, that guy was weird. He had some legitimate questions. You can kind of get at what he was trying to ask, but because he's representing himself, he's not an attorney. He doesn't know how to cross-examine somebody. That's, the number one rule with cross-examination is you don't ask open-ended questions. Isn't it true that you da 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 da? Isn't it true that you interviewed this person a second time and their story changed? Instead of asking, well, did the story change? Yeah. And then, okay, well, what was the story the second time? I don't know. It's like, it doesn't matter. It changed, right? That's your point you're trying to get across. So you just ask the leading question. It was just really bad. And then he was like making noise. The first day he showed up in his jail orange jumpsuit, was like making noises, laying back in the chair. Just doesn't help your case, folks. Doesn't help your case. My criticism of that case was that the judge, I think, was sort of tainting the jury by being so critical of his questioning in front of the jury. I know at times she sent the jury aside, but it was still happening a lot in front of the jury. But I doubt, given his other conduct, that really would have made a difference. It sounds like he was probably guilty anyway. I've never been a standby counsel. That'd be an interesting role to be in. The trial was delayed already a few times. Oh, yeah. The doctor that I watched part of his testimony. We'll say not very credible, his testimony. Although I don't believe her either. So I don't believe the victim. I also don't believe him. And in that situation, they're the only two eyewitnesses, right? So you gotta kind of acquit, right? If it's a he said, she said, like what's her name in Massachusetts? That female cop with the baby. If it's he said, she said, it doesn't rise to the level of beyond a reasonable doubt. The husband and anesthesiologist allegedly tried to kill his wife by pushing her off a cliff and bashing her head with a rock. He testified yesterday she survived. Yeah, I saw that he testified to that, and he said it was in self-defense, which is not terribly credible. How'd you find him? Did you find him credible when he said that? I didn't find him credible. I think Kelsey was lying. I think Kelsey, yeah, that's the one in Massachusetts. I think she was, neither side was telling the whole truth, right? But she was damned either way. She's like, I'm either an unfit parent because I tried to unalive myself and when there was a PPO against me, or I'm an unfit parent because I was shooting at police officers, or at least attempting to. It got her out of the acquittal, it got her out of the criminal trial with the acquittal, but she's going to spend several years in family law court. The most credible witness was his son who testified against him. Oh, I didn't see his son testify. What did his son say? Was his son there? I thought that was just the two of them. So did he say some like really stupid shit either after or before he allegedly attempted to unalive his wife? This is why I live stream all of my hikes with my wife, by the way, so that there's credible evidence that I didn't push her off the cliff when she fell. Yeah, she is definitely gonna have a long fight. Unless she's married to Hella. Sal, you're just projecting. You want to be married to Hella. That's kind of what we were talking about a little bit on Friday on Nick Staroff's stream about Kelsey, and my whole thing is that she's going to have a long road ahead. Nick Rekieta seems to think otherwise, but he doesn't do family law. Got to do family law, man. If you spent 15 years in family law, you would know that she has an uphill battle. The doctor FaceTimed his son and said that he was trying to kill her because of the affair. Well, that's not good. How old's the son? You said a teenager? Or you just said son? How old is he? Just right, my legal mind goes. It's like, how old is he? How subject is he to influence? Right? There's a difference between 6 and 16 as far as what sort of influence you can put on the child. 19 years old. He was 19 years old, 1920. This happened 2 years ago, so he'd be 17, 18. All right. So there's a lot more credibility there at that age. Interesting. All right. So it looks like they are bringing in the jury, and this is the continuation of a jury trial. I do not know the nature of this jury trial. I have no idea what it is. I haven't been watching. I just know that he has been conducting a jury trial. And I think that's why the camera is set up the way it is, because the witness seat is right there in front of the lovely young court reporter, clerk, whatever she is. So we're going to continue watching a jury trial that we have no context about, but we'll see what this judge's demeanor is. If it ever goes. Where's the audio? Oh my God, turn the audio on. They're guilty. That's my call. Who's guilty? The Hawaii doctor? By the way, how do you live in Hawaii and like fuck up your life so bad that you end up spending the rest of your life, or at least a substantial portion of it, in prison? I mean, your issues can't be that bad. You're a doctor in Hawaii. Was the son that testified, was that the victim's son as well? Like, do they have kids together, or is this a second marriage? Do we know? Whoever's on trial in this case is guilty. No audio. Oh, okay. So we're gonna have this. This is stupid. Turn it up. All right. This is a giant pain in the ass. Stepson to her. He still lives with her. Doctors are control. All doctors are control freaks, right? But still, you got to draw the line somewhere. All right. Well, I don't know if this is going to be worthwhile at all. We can't hear anything. How about audio issues? Send a report that there's audio issues. I don't know. Let's see if this does anything. They have 2 young kids together. So, okay. So it's the older stepson that testified. The victim's older stepson. Now, why is this taking so long?
The
There we go.
field of data, whether it be on a computer, a cell phone, whether it be an iPhone, an Android, and is able to understand the artifacts from those devices, how they relate to one another, how.
All right, I'm going to leave you all to this.
Might
be back.
also,
I'll be here, but I'll be in the
interact
background.
with that device. Basically, I'm trying to understand the whole picture of how the data, the device, and the user all interact and are intertwined with one another.
And in this case, you reviewed a number of documents. Does that include the various cell phone records in this case?
Yes, sir.
In the course of your review, Your Honor, may I approach?
May.
In the course of your review and your analysis of the data, have you formed any opinions?
Yes. So my opinion is that Justin Francis was on the phone at the time of the incident.
And what is that opinion based on?
That opinion is based on the call records that I reviewed, other mobile device evidence that has come to light, as well as the totality of evidence, including timestamps from other pieces of evidence that have been presented to me.
You talk faster than I write, which is normal. Let me make sure I got this right. The opinion that you intend to share with our jury is that Mr. Francis was on the phone at the time of his incident. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you hold this opinion to a reasonable degree of certainty.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about your background and how it is you came to acquire all this experience in digital forensics, okay? First of all, who do you work for?
I work for FTI Consulting.
And what is FTI Consulting?
FTI Consulting is a global consulting firm. We have a lot of different services that we offer. However, the area of our consultancy where I'm involved in is our digital insights and risk management group, in which we have a number of digital forensics experts just like myself.
Can you describe the types of things or the work that you performed at FTI Consulting?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So a lot of what I do is, well, one of the things that I do is what I'm doing here today. I'm testifying. I'm using facts and forming opinions based on those facts. I also do internal investigations for corporations. So, some of them related to IP theft, some of them related to HR investigations. I also do large-scale litigation as well. That side of things usually involves a lot of collection of mobile devices, where we go in, we receive custody of the mobile devices, whether they're iPhones, Androids, or other. We collect the data in a forensically sound way that is then admissible in court. And then we analyze and provide results, whether it be reports, findings, opinions.
Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background? Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, where I received my bachelor's degree.
And do you hold any licenses or certifications that are relevant to your work as a digital forensics expert?
Yes, so I have my ENCE, which is a kind of an overarching general digital forensics certification, industry standard. I also have my GIAC Advanced Smartphone Forensic Certification, which is one of the best. It is It is put on by SANS, which is a very reputable cybersecurity and digital forensics organization. I also have my CASA, C-A-S-A. That is a vendor-specific certification. Cellebrite is the company that provides that certification. All three of the certifications required tests, both written and practical. And then finally, I also have my private investigator license in the state of Texas.
I'm going to hand you what has been marked as Sasol Exhibit 135. Mr. Haddock, do you recognize this document?
Yes,
What is that?
this is my CV or my resume.
Okay, is that a fair and accurate copy of the resume that captures your education, your work experience, your qualifications?
Yes.
Your Honor, Sasol moves to admit Exhibit 135 in evidence.
Objection.
No objection.
Cecil 135 is admitted.
Mr. Haddock, you've been retained by Sasol, my client in this case, right?
Yes.
Are you providing your time free of charge?
No, no, I'm not.
You're charging for your time. And how much have you billed for your time to date?
We have billed about $6,600 to date.
All right, shift gears a little bit. You mentioned this before, but remind me, what specifically were you retained to do in this case?
In this case, I was asked to review call detail records and other mobile device information that was available, specifically focusing on the time surrounding the incident.
And did you analyze all that data in the course of your work?
Yes.
When I talk methodology, broadly speaking, how is it that you went about analyzing the data before you reached your conclusions and your opinions?
Sure, happy to talk through that. So I first looked at the call detail records. In this case, there were 3 different call detail records provided to me. Actually, one of the 3 was a bill and not a call detail record, but includes some of the same information. Nonetheless, I reviewed those, taking a look at timestamps, taking a look at originating callers, terminating recipients, also the text messages within those records.
Let me stop you there. You mentioned you reviewed 3 call logs or phone bills. Whose logs or bills did you review?
So I received the call detail records for Justin Francis, Maticia Francis, and Kendrick Hebert.
Hebert, I think is how you pronounce it.
Hebert?
Okay, so you reviewed those. Is that all you reviewed, or did you review other materials as well?
In addition to that, I reviewed some screen prints that were provided by the plaintiff, which looked to have come from a mobile device. Also reviewed the final incident report, which I believe was created by Savage, and then also the SIR as well, which was generated by Sasol, and then also took into account other information as it came to me, including the transcripts from other people's depositions.
Okay, you're the digital forensics guy, the cell phone guy, as I call it. Why are you reviewing documents other than call logs and cell phone records?
So that's something that a digital forensics expert would typically do as part of the normal course of any investigation. You would take a look at other pieces of evidence that have been presented, bearing in mind timestamps that exist, and trying to have a better understanding of how those timestamps might fall into place with the timestamps that we see in the call records and in other written evidence.
What I want to do is hand you a copy of what's been marked as Sasol Exhibit 3. It's an exhibit we're all familiar with by now. These are Mr. Francis's cell phone records from AT&T. You may have your own copy there. I want turn to the fifth page, I believe, of that document. Can you pull that up, please, Christine? We've seen this document many times, and we all know by now that the times that are recorded in the call logs are all in what's called UTC time. Is that right?
Correct.
And what is UTC time?
So UTC time is a universal time that is used in the science world, in aviation, in digital forensics, which is my area of expertise. It's helpful to understand what that time is, that one time that everyone knows what it means in instances where you have devices and incidents that happen in different time zones. So you're able to kind of normalize and understand where there was overlap with certain activities.
Thank you for being a member for 12 months.
UTC, if you're not familiar with it, that time zone
Good to see you here.
shoots right through the United Kingdom or England on the 0 degree longitude. So that is where UTC is. And as we look at the exhibit here, page 5 from the exhibit, you'll see
So this
that
is
there is a 6-hour
this is the
offset,
judge that went off on the
from
IT guy
UTC
earlier
to
this week or last week.
Central Standard Time. So that means you need to
And I'm
subtract
streaming his
6
live
hours
court coverage
from
to get an
whatever
idea
UTC
if
is
this judge
to
is
get
really
to
as bad as
Central
everyone's
Standard
making him
Time.
out to be,
So if you look
what his
to
demeanor is
the,
like on a
I
day-to-day
guess, the
basis.
two
And this
columns
happens
on
to
the
be a
right,
jury
it's
trial.
UTC
Apparently, we're in the
and
middle of a jury
CST
trial. So I don't know
24-hour
what the case is
format.
about, but
This
we're
is the
watching.
format that we see in Mr. Francis's cell phone records, true?
Yes.
And scroll down, Tristan, to 1600 to 1800. Just quickly, Mr. Haddock, walk us through how you would convert these UTC times to Central Time as of March 7, 2021.
Sure. So as we look at the 1600 there on the top left corner, this is what is in what's referred to by a lot of people as military time. It's a way to look at times and know that it's either AM or PM without actually having to put the AM or PM. So that is 1600 UTC. And we know that March 7th, 2021 was still standard time. Daylight savings had not yet occurred. So we know that we would need to subtract 6 hours from that 1600, which is 4:00 PM UTC to 10:00 AM Central Standard Time.
So if you go and turn to the call logs in these records and we see a call at 1600 hours, that's a call at 10 a.m., right?
Correct. 10 a.m. Central Standard Time.
And if we see a call at 1700 hours, that's a call at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes.
Correct? Same thing, a call at 1800 hours, that's a call at noon Central Standard Time. Correct?
Yes.
And in the course of your analysis of all the call logs that you reviewed in this case, did you perform that conversion from UTC time to Central Standard Time?
That is definitely true of Justin Francis's and Matisha Francis's. I'm just checking on Kendrick's right now.
But in other words, when you reviewed the records, analyzed the records, you were able to convert these UTC times to the local time in Westlake, Louisiana on the day of the incident. Is that fair?
Yes. And apologies, my hesitation there was only because Kendricks appeared to be in local.
There you go. Okay. Anything else you did other than convert these UTC times to central times in the course of your analysis?
Yes, so I compared the 3 phone records. If you were to take a close look at these call records, I don't know if you can see from here, but they're very tiny. There's a lot of numbers. You might even need a piece of paper to sort of line up each row. So as part of what I did, I took the information, including the timestamps, and created a timeline for myself, which helped to marry up the information from the 3 call logs and make a determination of if the 3 call records were consistent with one another.
Were they?
Yes.
And does that, in your mind, tell you that these timestamps in the cell phone records are accurate and reliable?
Yes.
Now, the methodology that you've described generally about how you go about interpreting this data and analyzing that data, is that methodology utilized and generally accepted by other digital forensic experts like yourself?
Yes. Even when call records are not paramount in a case, if they're available, a digital forensics expert would routinely compare for validation.
All right. What I'd like to do is walk through some of the call logs to make sure we all understand the proper way to read them. So Tristan, can you turn to Bates number ending 0024?
Thing sucks.
Mr. Hadamick, you as well. And if you could zoom in, Tristan, to the top so you can see the top sections of, there you go, just like that. You see that, Mr. Hadamick?
Yes.
Okay. I'll represent to you, this page identifies cell phone call activity on Mr. Francis's phone on the day of the incident, okay?
I'm down it.
All right, we've highlighted, it says voice usage data 4. What does that line mean?
So this line right here is indicating that this report is for the phone number 832-949-0877.
And over the course of your work, in this case, have you come to understand who that cell phone number belongs to?
Yes, I've come to realize that this number belongs to Justin Francis.
Okay, because we really don't care about the trial. We're only really looking at
Let's
the
go down to
judge.
item number
I'm going to
1.
try
So walk
to
across,
share the screen a
the
different way
entries and have you explain
so that we don't get
what
the
each of
echo.
these columns means.
So
Just
hold
like
up a
that is
second, guys.
perfect.
So that's the
Can you guys hear
connection date.
Can you guys still
in
hear it?
This
That's
instance,
the question.
for the first 2 rows here, it's March 7th, 2021.
All good? We can
Okay.
hear
And then
the
just sort of
court.
walk us through what each of these columns means,
Yay,
going left to right.
Sure. So the connection time, again, we've already talked
good.
about UTC. So that is the time that the cell tower first receives notification or transmission that there is about to be a call.
And
Okay,
thing
if you go back to our
sucks.
you don't have to do it, but if you go
So when
back
I
to
play
the
that, there
UTC
shouldn't be an echo
version
now.
chart and apply it, we know that a call at 1404 translates to 8:04 in the morning. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Keep going, please.
Okay, so we have our connection time. Next is the seizure time. So this would be the time that it takes from that initial, the initial point of when the cell tower receives notification that there's a
The
call.
judge looks very
to the time
bored.
a call is actually connected.
Well-
Or if that call never connects, it's just the time it took for that person to essentially hang up after the phone was ringing.
Okay, so if I were to call you and let it ring a few times, you don't pick up, that's the seizure time will capture the duration of the ringing. Is that sort of a simplified way to say that?
That's right. The simplified way of thinking of it is basically the time before someone picks up.
I got you. All right, what's next?
So next is ET, which in this instance stands for elapsed time. And then, so this would actually be the amount of time that occurs from the point that the two parties are connected to the time that the two parties are disconnected.
Okay, so if I call you and after those few rings, you pick up and we talk for 5 minutes, is that call in my call log gonna show 5 minutes for the elapsed time?
Yes.
All right. Next two, I think are pretty self-explanatory, but why don't you go ahead and explain it to us anyway?
Sure. So originating number, that would be the number that is making the phone call. In this instance, it is Justin Francis's number.
Okay, and then terminating number?
And then the terminating number would be the recipient of that particular phone call.
And put you on the spot. Have you come to learn whose number ends in 7531?
Yes. So that is Maticia Francis's.
So what we see here, correct me if I'm wrong, is on March 7, 2021, at 8:04 in the morning, Mr. Francis called his wife. It rang for 15 seconds and they connected for 25 seconds. Is that a fair summary of what we see here on items 1 and 2?
Yes.
Let's look at the other columns. There are 4 left to the right. I see IMEI, IMSI, and a bunch of numbers and letters underneath those columns. What do those mean?
Sure. So IMEI, it stands for International Mobile Equipment Identity. So this is the unique number that is assigned to the actual phone or the handset. So if we were to go back in time, open up that Samsung, look at its information, we would see within that phone that exact same IMEI number within that device.
And then the last two, CT and feature. What do those mean?
I mean, I think we skipped over one.
Oh, sorry. IMSI. What is that?
So-
Next.
IMSI, very similar to IMEI, except it's about the subscriber as opposed to the equipment. So that's going to be associated with the SIM card, and that helps provide carriers with information about like what other carrier or provider a user might be using.
Okay, gotcha. Now the last two.
All right, so
It should be on your screen in front of you too.
yep, it is on the screen in front of me.
CT, what is that?
CT, so that's gonna tell us the direction on whether it's originating or terminating.
Okay. So I see that below that, MO and MT. Is T terminating, and O originating?
Correct.
Okay. And then the last one, feature. What does that column tell us?
So feature in this instance is going to contain a variety of codes. If you were to flip earlier in this report, you would see a bunch of definitions for what each of these codes represent. It'll tell us information about the voice call, if someone was on hold, if call waiting was initiated, et cetera.
Yeah, it looks like in the tables in the front parts of SASL exhibit number 3, it contains a code where you can translate these various feature codes and learn what they are. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's now turn to the Bates number ending 0028. We just looked at the phone call logs. What information do we learn on page number ending 0028?
So this is going to contain text messages.
The first one was phone calls. This one is text messages.
Correct.
Okay, I'm not gonna walk through all of the columns because they appear to overlap or be consistent with what we just saw on the call log page. Is that fair?
That's fair, with the exception of the one column indicating the difference between an MMS and an SMS.
Okay, I got you. So what is the difference between MMS and SMS?
So in SMS is a short message under 160 characters. So you can think of a character as a letter or a number, right? It's a very brief message. An MMS is a long message. It can be an image. It could be a GIF if you're familiar with GIFs. It could be an audio file. Basically any sort of multimedia and anything beyond a very simple, less than 160 character text message.
Okay, I got you. So an MMS is transmitting additional data or more information than a normal punchy 10-word text message. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, if we look at these columns, one question, we see the connection time, UTC, that's the third column. And below that, there are various times. Can you scroll down, Tristan, so we can see one of the times? All right, so left-hand column, I see 1600 hours, 22 minutes. Again, that's a text message at 10:22 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, that time, 10:22 a.m., is that the time to the second that the sender of the text message hits send on his phone?
No, so that would actually be the time that a cell tower or network switch receives notification that there's data about to hit the tower.
Okay, so that's the time, I'm going to simplify this, the text hits the cell tower.
Yes.
Is there ever any delay between hitting send on the text and the text hitting the tower?
Yes, there can be delay, especially if the amount of data being transmitted is large.
I got you. So an SMS 10-word text message that I send to you, generally speaking, is going to hit the cell tower faster than an MMS screenshot or other data that I send you. Is that a fair generalization?
It is, and it might be helpful for me to sort of explain, I guess, an example so you can kind of appreciate the difference between the two. So an SMS, which is a basic short text message, and then I'm going to talk data here. So I'll try my best to, if you're not familiar with it, I'll try my best to explain it. But a simple message is generally no larger than 140 bytes. Okay, it's a very small amount of data relative to the type of data that I typically deal with. An image, such as a screenshot from a phone, nowadays is maybe about 10 megabytes, which translates to 10 million bytes. Of course, back in 2021, those image sizes may have been a little bit smaller, but they still would have been in the millions as opposed to in the hundreds. So quite a significant more amount of data with an MMS in some instances than an SMS, unless that image is super, super tiny.
Gotcha. Images are a lot more data than just text messages.
Yes.
Let's switch gears for a moment and talk about the incident a little bit. Okay. Let's be clear. Are you offering any opinions about the precise moment in time that Mr. Francis fell from the train?
I am not. I cannot speak to the exact second he fell off the train.
Have you, through the course of your review, developed any opinions about a window of time during which the incident occurred?
Yes.
How have you reached those opinions?
So I believe the window of the incident would be from 12:15:00 to 12:26:58.
Let me stop you there.
Okay.
Beginning of the window, 12:15:00.
Yes.
Okay, and the end of the window is what time?
12:26:58.
12:26:58
Yes.
PM.
Yes.
And how is it that you reached your conclusion that this is the window of time during which the incident occurred?
So
Let's start with the first number.
sure.
How did you reach that?
So starting with the first number, 12:15:00, I know that there was a shoe purchase that was made and a screen print that was taken at 12:15.
Okay, and can you pull up Tristan Sassol exhibit number 5? Is that the shoe purchase and screenshot that you just described?
Yes.
So this data, this piece of evidence told you that there was a shoe purchase made by Mr. Francis at the earliest at 12:15:00. Is that correct?
So yeah, based on this, we see the 12:15 in the photograph. Yes.
And you're assuming he made this purchase and he took this screenshot before he fell, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how you reach 12:15 as the beginning of our window. Okay, how did you reach 12:26:58 as the end of our window?
So Justin Francis is on a phone call with Letitia Francis that lasts for 33 minutes and 55 seconds, and it terminates at 12:26:58. And we know from Letitia Francis's testimony that there was all kinds of screaming and clearly she indicated that he had fallen based on her deposition.
Right, so by the time they hang up on the phone, he's fallen, he's under the train. So that's why you've got 12:26:58 as the last moment in time that he could have fallen. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you've reached these opinions based on your review and analysis of all the evidence that you considered in this case.
Yes.
Now, you created a timeline of events, did you not?
Yes.
And included in your timeline of events, you included other data, like the time of the incident as identified by the Savage final incident report. Is that true? Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you review any other data? Did you review any data that identified the time of the incident?
Yes.
What data did you review?
I reviewed the Savage final incident report.
And did the Savage final incident report identify a time at which Mr. Francis fell?
Yes, the report indicated that he fell at 12:15:13.
Okay, that's in your window, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and you included that in your timeline?
Yes.
If you remove that, are you testifying? Are you telling this jury that that is the precise second that he fell off the train?
No, I'm not saying that he fell at that exact second. I cannot say for sure, and I cannot say he did not.
Understood. If you remove that time from your timeline and your analysis, would that change your opinions in this case in the slightest bit?
No.
So with the understanding that your opinion that Mr. Francis fell between 12:15 and 12:26, have you, based on your review of the evidence, formed any opinions, reached any conclusions about Mr. Francis's cell phone usage during that time?
Yes, during that time, he was on the phone.
Okay. What about before that time? Have you reviewed his cell phone usage data from before this window?
Yes,
Okay, did you reach any conclusions, form any opinions about Mr. Francis's usage before the incident?
Jason, Your Honor, relevant.
Your Honor, it goes to a pattern of cell phone usage, and he's already told this jury that he only does it on breaks, and it's relevant.
Objection is overruled.
could you please?
I'll repeat the question. Have you formed any opinions about Mr. Francis's cell phone usage before the incident window?
Yes, he had call activity and text message activity prior to 12:15 on March 7th.
Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to view Mr. Francis's cell phone activity in chunks of time, okay? You recall what time Mr. Francis arrived at work that day?
I don't recall the exact time.
Let me hand you a copy of Sasol Exhibit 18. Tristan, if you could pull that up. And there's a timeline. This is one of the documents you reviewed, true?
Yes,
Okay, there's a timeline. I believe it's on page 14 of the Savage Incident Report. And you can see at 6 o'clock. Why don't you just go ahead and read that entry for us? What is it? What does the 6 a.m. entry say?
6 a.m., March 7th, 2021, team clocked in for third consecutive scheduled shift.
And I'll represent to you. We've already heard testimony from Mr. Francis that is when his job started. That's when the day started. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at cell phone or talk high level cell phone usage in 2-hour increments. Okay. And I'm talking about active cell phone usage. Thank you, Your Honor.
Come on up.
Okay. You're talking about chunks of time. I want to look at it in 2-hour chunks, starting from when Mr. Francis clocked in 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You understand that?
Yes.
And again, I am talking about active cell phone usage, evidence of active cell phone use. So phone calls that he is on and text messages that come from his phone. Understand?
Understood.
Not receiving text messages. I'm talking about text messages from his phone to somebody else. You understand?
Yes.
So during this first block of time, when the incident reports or report indicates that the workers, they clocked in, toolbox meeting, they performed a vehicle and brake inspection. During that window of time, how many phone calls did Mr. Francis make? Based on the call logs.
0.
Okay. What about text messages? How many text messages did he send?
Also 0.
Okay. Let's move on to our next chunk of time. From 8 a.m., we'll go to 10 a.m. During this 2-hour block of time, when, according to the incident report, the workers activate the remote control zone, they perform some work on track 801, there's a daily locomotive inspection. According to the phone records, how many phone calls does Justin Francis make during this 2-hour block?
I see 1 call at 8:04 a.m.
One phone
1
call?
phone call.
And how long was that phone call?
25 seconds.
That's the phone call we saw earlier, wasn't it, with Matisha?
Yes.
And maybe you said it and I missed it. What time was that call?
8:04:20.
Huh? What about text messages from his phone? How many text messages?
Zero.
Okay, third chunk of time. I bet you can guess what it is. At least where we're going to start. We're going to start at 10 a.m. This time I want to go to 12:26:58. Okay, that is the end of our incident window. So from 10 a.m. to 12:26:58, again, active use, phone calls that he's on, and text messages from his phone. How many calls do you see in the call log? Oh, okay, let me stop. Hold on. Before we do that, it's during this window of time that, according to the Savage Incident Report, that Mr. Francis and his team are in the field switching and intermittently taking water breaks. How many calls, how many texts in this window of time?
I see 6.
6 calls?
6 calls.
6 calls How many texts from his phone?
I see 12.
6 calls, 12 texts from 10 a.m., 12:26:58.
12
Right?
outgoing texts, just
Outgoing text from his phone, right? All right. So we broke the day down into these 2-hour, 2.5-hour blocks. Fair to say most of the cell phone activity occurs during that third block of time.
yes.
Again, active use where Mr. Francis chose to use his phone, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's zero in. So we started broad. Let's zero in a little bit and focus on that third block of time. Tristan, can you pull up Sasol exhibit number 3, please? All right, let's talk about the phone calls during that 2-hour block, starting with, it looks like item 3 on the page ending 224. That's 1606. Is that 10:06 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what is the phone activity that we see on item 3 of the call log?
Well, we see a seizure time of 29 seconds, which means that's the time that, the phone is actively ringing. A connection is attempting to be made. As we look over to elapsed time, we see 0. So these two pieces of information together are indicative of an attempted phone call, but no connection being made.
Okay, so attempted phone call from Mr. Francis to somebody else, but they don't connect. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's go down to item number 4, starting a phone call at 10:08 a.m. You see that?
Yes.
All right, tell the jury what you see in this line of the call log.
So at 10:08 a.m., seizure time is 5 seconds on the originating side, 6 on the terminating. The actual elapsed time or the length of the conversation lasts for 2 minutes and 1 second.
And that's a phone call from Mr. Francis's phone to that number ending 7531. And we've learned that's Mrs. Francis, true?
Correct.
Okay, so a 2-minute call between Mr. and Mrs. Francis. All right. What's the next one?
So the next one is at 10:52. Seizure time of 7 seconds, so 7 minutes for that connection to take place. This time,
You said minutes. Did you mean minutes?
sorry, minutes, yes, 7 minutes, apologies. The length of this conversation is 41 minutes and 41 seconds.
Okay, so that's a phone call from that number ending 2457. And I'll represent to you, we've learned that's Mr. Francis's sister's cell phone number. A phone call from her to Mr. Francis lasts 41 minutes. So it starts at 10:52 in the morning and ends at 11:34 in the morning. True?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the next call. There's another call on line 7. Can you tell us about that call?
Sure. So this call is at 11:40 a.m., seizure time of 9 seconds. And the call lasts for 10 minutes and 43 seconds. The call was originated by Justin Francis. and the terminating number appears to be Meticia Francis's phone number.
So another call between Mr. and Mrs. Francis that lasts 10 minutes, 43 seconds. So it looks like it starts at 11:40 in the morning and ends at 11:51 in the morning. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Two more. Let's go to row 9. This appears to be a call at 17:53, which is 11:53 Central Standard Time. True?
True.
All right, tell us about what we see for this phone call.
Seizure time of 5 seconds here. The call lasts for 33 minutes and 55 seconds. This time, Meticia Francis is the originator and the terminating number belongs to Justin Francis.
And that's a 33-minute call. So that means the call begins at 11:53 in the morning and it terminates at 12:26:58. Correct?
Yes.
And this is the call, you described it earlier, where Ms. Francis heard Mr. Francis as he was under the train. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, explain the next one to us. Because this is a call, I'm looking at row 11. This is a call beginning at 12:11. Can you explain this call to us?
Sure. So the connection time, 12:11, as you stated, PM. Seizure time is 4 seconds. So 4 seconds for the two to connect. And that call lasts for 6 minutes and 19 seconds.
We've heard so this was a phone call between Mr. Francis and Mr. Hebert during his longer 33-minute call with his wife. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we've heard testimony that someone was placed on hold. This call happened. And there have been some questions about what happened when Mr. Francis hung up with Mr. Hebert. Okay, you understand that?
Yes.
Now, from the moment Mr. Francis hung up with Mr. Hebert at 12:17 p.m., do the call logs indicate whether Mr. Francis reconnected with his wife, who is on hold?
No, because call logs don't show that type of information.
Call logs don't tell you whether people are actually talking on the phone.
Right.
Okay. That's right?
Yes.
You can't confirm one way or the other from the call log whether people are actually talking when they're connected. Is that fair?
Yes.
Nonetheless, did Mr. Francis and Mrs. Francis remain connected until 12:26:58?
Yes.
What I'd like to do is show you a demonstrative exhibit that summarizes the calls that you just walked us through. Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, does this demonstrative exhibit depict the phone calls that Mr. Francis was engaged in between 10:08 and 12:26:58?
Yes, it does.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the phone calls and their duration during this time period?
Yes.
And if you total up all of this cell phone usage during this third block, 10:08 to 12:26:58, how much total time was Mr. Francis on the phone with somebody else?
The number that you see in that red bar at the bottom is accurate. 1 hour, 28 minutes and 20 seconds.
So from 10:08 to 12:26:58, which is a 2 hour and 18-minute period. Is it your testimony Mr. Francis was on the phone for 1 hour, 28 minutes and 20 seconds?
Yes.
And have you calculated a percentage of time that is? That he was on the phone during this 2 hour and 18 minute period of time?
Yes, and that would be the 63% that you have highlighted on the bottom there in red.
So during this 2 hours and 18 minutes, which we know includes time during which Mr. Francis fell from the
I think we
train,
get a better idea
he
of what
was
this judge is like on the
actively
bench
using
if it
his
wasn't a
phone
trial. But I'm going to keep going
63%
with
of the
this.
time. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to zoom in a little bit more. Looked at the day in 2 hour chunks. We've analyzed this 2 hour, 18 minute period. I want to get laser focused on critical 4 minute period of time. And I'm going to show you some data points. Turn with me if you would. We've already
Judge looks
talked
like he's
about
going to
back
rip
to
this attorney's head
the
off any minute.
Savage final incident report. Sasol exhibit 218. And on the second page, it identifies the time that Savage concluded Mr. Francis fell from the train. Okay? What time did Savage conclude Mr. Francis fell from the train?
They concluded 12:15:13 p.m.
12:15:13. Now I want to hand you a document that you were asked about in your deposition. This is plaintiff's exhibit 208. A document we all know as the SIR. You seen that document before, sir?
Yes.
Now I'm just providing context. All right, the SIR, if you look at the very top, it includes an entry that says time of the incident. Do you see that?
Yes.
And what is the time of the incident as identified in this SIR initial investigation document?
12:19 p.m.
And then scroll down, Tristan, if you would, under the section that says initial investigation information, that paragraph beginning at approximately what time?
12:18.
Go ahead and read the sentence so we're all clear.
Sure. At approximately 12:18, a Savage employee, crew lead, was riding rail car UTLX 911000 while operating in remote control.
And then down below it says, at approximately 12:18, the crew lead was riding the rail car to couple up. As the engine was coming to a stop, crew lead adjusted his body position. As he was doing so, it's believed the train jerked as it was slowing, and it caused the employee to lose his grip and fall from the platform. Did I summarize that accurately?
Yes.
So at least in the SIR, we see two more data points indicating the possible time of the incident. Is that fair?
Yes.
One is at 12:18 p.m. and the other is at 12:19 p.m. Is that right?
Yes.
And again, all three of these times fall within your incident window.
Yes.
Correct? Told you I wanted to get laser focused. I want to get laser focused on active cell phone use during this critical 4 minute period of time. Okay? All right, Sasol Exhibit 5. We saw this a little while ago. This is, well, why don't you tell the jury, what do we see? What is Exhibit 5?
Exhibit 5 is a screen print that says got 'em, and it's got a pair of sneakers with the label Nike Air Force 107.
And what did you learn in your analysis about the significance of Exhibit 5, this Gotham screenshot in the context of this 4-minute period?
So the timestamp up top says 12:15 p.m. Plaintiff indicated that this was the image that was transmitted to Kendrick Hebert around. Give me 1 second, please. Let me make sure I have the right time. The MMS that was sent from Justin to Kendrick Hebert and was transmitted to the tower at 12:16:29.
Okay, and I want to get to that next, but before he sends a screenshot, he's got to purchase the shoes, correct?
Right?
And before he sends a screenshot, he's got to take the screenshot, right?
Yes.
And that's what we see up on the screen right now. The Gotham Nike Air Force 1 sneakers is a screenshot of a shoe purchase he made at 12:15 p.m., right?
Yes.
That is undisputed, unquestionable, absolutely certain active cell phone use during these 4 minutes. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, let's get to what you were just talking about. So after he purchased the shoes and after he takes the screenshot, he sends the screenshot to his brother, Mr. Hebert. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you saw a record of that in exhibit number 3.
Right.
Okay. Can you walk us through what you're looking at so we can all understand?
Sure. So we're talking about item 60 and 61. So 12:16:29 p.m. we see an MMS sent from Justin Francis's number to Kendrick's. And that connection time being the time that that data hits the cell tower.
Okay. And if we scroll over to the right, where it says image, what does that mean?
This is indicating that the type of MMS being sent was an image as opposed to an audio file, a text message, or anything else.
And what we've learned in this case is that image was this Gotham screenshot of the Nike shoe purchase that he had made a few minutes earlier. Is that right?
Yes, that's what I understand.
Okay. Now there's a timestamp. I don't want to be repetitive. Can you go back to the 12:16 timestamp, Tristan? 12:16:29 seconds. Again, is that the time Mr. Francis hits send on the phone? Or is that the time the image hits the cell tower?
That's the time the data from the image starts hitting the cell tower.
So he hits send at least sometime before that timestamp.
Right. It could have been 1 second, it could have been 30 seconds, it could have been 60 seconds.
Whatever it is, that again is undisputed, unquestionable, absolutely certain active cell phone use during this 4-minute window. True?
Yes.
Okay, one more, same exhibit 3. Flip to the call logs. Going back to row 11, his phone call with Mr. Hebert. You see that?
Yes.
And this is the phone call that began at 12:11 p.m. on the day of the incident. It lasts 6 minutes, 19 seconds. So it ends at 12:17, and 48 seconds. Is that right?
Yes,
And we've all heard this is an active phone call between Mr. Francis and Mr. Hebert that terminates at 12:17.
right,
You agree?
yes,
Again, this is more evidence, undisputed, unquestionable, absolutely certain active cell phone use during this 4-minute period. True?
I agree, yes.
That last one's at 12:17. Is that the end of Mr. Francis's cell phone use during the incident window?
No,
You've reviewed the call logs, the records, and it's your opinion that Mr. Francis remained on the phone throughout the duration of this incident window. Is that correct?
yes,
We just talked about phone activity from 12:15, 12:16, and 12:17 PM that shows undisputed, unquestionable, absolutely certain cell phone activity. Yes?
yes,
Okay. Mr. Hadamick, was Mr. Francis on his phone at 12:18 PM?
yes,
And was he on his phone at 12:19 PM?
yes,
And was he on his phone at 12:20 PM?
yes,
And was he on his phone at 12:21 PM?
yes,
And was he on his phone at 12:22 PM?
yes,
Was he on his phone at 12:23 PM?
yes,
Was he on his phone at 12:24 PM?
yes,
Was he on his phone at 12:25 PM?
yes,
And was he on his phone at 12:26 PM?
yes,
Mr. Hadamick, you've expressed a number of opinions. Of those opinions that you've expressed, you hold them to a reasonable degree of certainty.
yes, I do.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Upper, I think that would be a good time for a brief break.
That's fine. That's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess to allow you to stretch your legs and use the restroom. And we'll pick it up at about 11 AM or shortly thereafter. I would remind you that you will not discuss. So, all rise for the adjournment.
Stream stuff down.
Thank you.
We'll be in recess until about 11 o'clock.
Oh.
Well, apparently they are on break. There we go. How's everybody doing? Wendy, thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. I am just hanging out in the treehouse, working, and I thought I'd stream this in the background a little bit. Did they say that they were taking a lunch, or are they just taking a break? It is, what time is it? It can't be lunch because it's only 10:53 there, so this must be their morning break. They are in the middle of a jury trial, which I was half expecting, but kind of hoping it was done because I wanted to see this judge during motion trial or like a motion call day kind of thing. But we don't have that today. We have a jury trial, which seems kind of boring. I've been listening in a little bit. But that's where we're at. How's everyone else doing? Take a break. But I just got here. Yeah. Hey, Scott, welcome. It sounded to me like it was a break, but I was in the middle of a phone call and drafting something and, my work stuff. So I wasn't able to hear clearly. That is good to know. It is good to know that you are all fantastic. What else do we have going on? Well, we're in this downtime. Let's see here. Anything new about this particular judge that we haven't covered yet? Let's see. What do we have? What do we have? Oh, wait. There we go. That's what I want. No, not me. Home. Not my channel. I know I'm live. Do we have anything else about this judge right now? Oh, what is this? Oh, what's Judge Simpson got going on? Let's switch over to Judge Simpson for a moment. Just say hi to him.
That other charge or charges. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And understanding that, do you still wish to plead guilty to these charges?
Yes, sir.
Has anybody promised you
be.
anything other than what's been
He
stated?
could be on his
record?
best behavior now that he knows
No,
the
sir.
internet's watching.
Anybody threaten you or coerce you?
No, sir.
You're doing this voluntarily and of your own free will?
Yes, sir.
And also because you believe that you are indeed guilty of these offenses?
Sure.
Let's start with the case. The 14th, well, I'm sorry. I told you you'd be sentenced before Judge Barr. You'd actually be sentenced before Judge Washington. You understand that?
Sure.
Still wish to plead?
Yes.
I don't know where I got Judge from. All right. On the date of March 7th, 2025, at the location of West Michigan Avenue and East Manfield Street.
By the way, for the record, I am
Ypsilanti
not
Township,
streaming
Washington County, State of
Judge
Michigan.
Simpson. I am
Were
stream
you
sniping
operating a
Salvador
motor
Dali.
Yes, sir.
Prior
Just
to
happens to
operating
be
that motor
streaming Judge
vehicle,
Simpson.
had you ingested in some form methamphetamine?
Sure.
All right. Were you stopped by the police or was there an accident?
I believe in this case, I was stopped by the police.
All right. Were you do you know why they stopped you?
Yeah, it was after an accident. Sorry.
There was an accident?
They
Recall
stopped
what
you because your
happened?
car wasn't
Honestly,
working
no.
anymore?
All right. There was an accident of some type and the police
How many
came
people
to
are
the
standing with
scene.
this
Do you
defendant?
recall that? All right. And when they came to the scene, were you ultimately arrested?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you taken to the hospital?
Yes, I was.
All right. Was there a blood draw?
Yes, sir.
Did the blood draw show either the presence of methamphetamines or its derivative?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any reason to dispute those test results?
No, sir.
All right.
No landlord tenant stay?
And on that same date, well, let me ask you this. You had, prior to operating that motor vehicle, you had used methamphetamine.
Yes, sir.
You knew what you were using was methamphetamine. Is that correct?
You
Yes,
weren't
sir.
poisoned?
All right. And this might be a little bit harder. You don't remember the accident?
Honestly, no.
All right. Do you remember stopping at the scene of the accident?
Oh,
Do you remember driving away from the scene?
yeah.
May I have word, dear my client, briefly?
Okay.
So, Mr. Watts, do you remember when the officer approached your car? Because you did you have interaction with the officer that day where he approached your car
Just let him
and
plead
you
no
were
contest.
coming to?
Yes,
And then when you woke up, you saw your vehicle and realized you had been involved in an accident?
yes, correct.
And how did you realize you had been involved in an accident?
The front end of my vehicle
foot
and
was
the officer
missing.
told me as well.
Okay. But the place where the officer came into contact with you was not the place of the accident, right? Let's do this. Do you have a part of the police report that I don't want to stop it if we can get it done. You have a part of the police report that gives me, it seems to me that what happened, but he may not remember, is that his vehicle was involved in an accident. And then at some point he left that scene, didn't report it, but then ultimately.
Well, if the judge is trying to establish a factual record from the defendant himself, then that means that the defendant himself is pleading guilty, not no contest. If he was pleading no contest, then they would just get like a police report. So that's why I'm like, if the defendant is struggling to come up with a memory of the facts, then just plead no contest. That's one of the main reasons why we have a no contest plea. The other one would be civil liability, but
Even the contact with police officers.
Absolutely, Your
like
Honor.
the
I
memory
typed that
issue
police
is the
report, and
issue
yes,
here.
what happened, I think, where he was hesitant to answer the scene, it was very nearby. So it wasn't technically
Well-
the other vehicles involved, but yes, I can absolutely get Your Honor that, please.
Well, I didn't need to know that. I just need to know he didn't immediately, he left. I'm gonna take a plea to count two. He got involved in an accident, left that scene. I don't care necessarily how far.
Absolutely.
I just left that scene and didn't report that, but came into contact with.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
I have it read in front of me, the report in front of me, before it wants to look at it.
Yeah, but that's, any objection?
Not at all. Thank you, Mr. Childers.
What is happening? Oh, he's reviewing the police report. Finally, we get there.
So because you can't remember, sir.
Yes.
You
No contest.
have a problem pleading no contest to the charge of failure to stop at a property damage accident?
No problem.
All right. You understand that all of the rights that I explained apply to a guilty plea as well as a no contest plea?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I think the basis that's been stated on the record is failure to remember. And so formally, I'll just ask you, sir, to charge count 3 of failure to stop at a property damage accident, how do you plead?
No contest.
All right. And the court had reviewed the police report in that case. I think I got that. I'm going to move to the next case.
Hey, first
Yes.
best GG, welcome.
Find it.
We're just
Ask you on the date of April
random
24th,
court streams apparently
2025,
today.
Michigan Avenue near.
We're
Flatwood,
waiting for the
Pittsfield Township,
215th
Washington
district to
County,
get back
State of
from their break.
Michigan. Did you have methamphetamine in your possession
Yes, sir.
on that date? Had you used it? Did you know what you were using was methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
And so I do have to advise you that, just correct my plea form here then.
Wendy Lagoon asked me just a few moments ago. He's like, when
You
can
have
I
to
do
advise
another
you that
stream with
between
Wendy?
the time of my
So we gotta
acceptance of
plan
your
that.
plea and the time of your sentencing in either of these cases, if you commit misconduct as defined under the Michigan court rules, the court would not be bound by any sentence evaluation or recommendation, and you would not be entitled to withdraw your plea. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Is counsel aware of, in either case, of any other promises, threats, or other inducements which have led to a plea?
So you're on.
No.
No, Your Honor.
And have I, on both of these cases, complied with the court?
I don't think you
Yes, Your
advised
Honor.
him that he
Yes,
was
Your
giving
Honor.
up appellate rights.
In the case ending in 1347, court will accept the defendant's pleas of guilty to counts 2 and 4 and no contest to count 3. Count 1 is dismissed. In that case, the pre-sentence investigation and report is ordered at 14B probation.
Did he talk about appellate
Sentencing
rights?
will be
April 30th at 10 a.m.
April 30th, 2026, 10 a.m. That's before Judge Washington. Bond on that case will continue. The other matter, get my paperwork here, court will accept the defendant's plea guilty to count.
Oh, we're back. All right. So that poor gentleman pled guilty to meth and driving and car accidents and all that stuff. Now we are back to the 215th District Court with Judge Milliron, I guess is how you say it. Why does my computer keep logging me out of my email? It's extremely annoying because I never remember my password. Damn it. Now I gotta look up my password. Don't look, guys. You do give up most of your appellate rights when you plead guilty. You give up the right to appeal factual disputes. That's the big thing. So, like, if you're like, I truly wasn't on meth, I was, it wasn't me driving or whatever, any sort of factual dispute like that, you give those rights up, but you do maintain others. And he has to be advised that he's given those up. No, it's the right. Oh my God. It's a pain in the ass. All right, now we're good. Yeah, so you give up a ton of rights when you plead guilty. And but what I do is a lot is appeal guilty pleas. So I am familiar with the rights that you give up, but the court's supposed to advise you of it. That's one of the big issues that we have on appeals from guilty pleas, is that the courts don't tend to advise people properly. Hey, Red, how are you? Hope everything is going well in your world. If you guys are new to the stream anyway, I will let you know that what we were doing, this is the judge that went off on the IT guy last week that went viral. After that, there's been a bunch of other stuff, other clips that have come out about this judge where he's been really nasty to other attorneys and maybe his clerks, and failed to pay campaign finance fees and apparently filed bankruptcy. I don't know. There's a ton of stuff out there now about this judge. So I'm streaming it live, his courtroom live, just to see if he's regularly like this or if those are like some weird cherry-picked situations. So that's what we're doing. And I am working, so I'm not always on the stream, but we were on a break. So I figured I'd come on and we'd stream a little Judge Simpson, something else, chit-chat a bit. Once this gets picked up again, I'm going to jump off the stream and get back to work. That's where we are. But I'm glad that 12 of you are here watching, because what else would you be doing on a rainy Thursday afternoon? Yay, I got my video call. Well, that's good to hear, Red. Snow is BS. Is it snowing where you are? Where are you, Scott, that it's snowing? It's supposed to be like 80 on Friday or Saturday, I think, something like that here. It's supposed to be stupid hot for a minute. Alberta. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no snow here. It is currently like 40 degrees, but it's supposed to get up to 60 today and then 80 in another couple of days. It's just really rainy. And they said wind and thunderstorms coming. So that's why I thought it would be good to sit in a treehouse and stream with you guys today for the wind and the thunderstorms. All right, we're on the same witness, who apparently is an expert in IT or something. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I just want to hear what the judge has to say. If there's been like very little objections. I want to see the judge interact with other attorneys because that seems to be the bulk of the criticism about this judge. So I was really hoping for more of that.
I talk and I delegate. Not for the latter over the former.
Winter mix in Utah with some angry thunderstorms. I love angry thunderstorms. I was promised so many angry thunderstorms over the weekend, and they all
rise for the jury.
I was very disappointed. I feel like the expert's a little excited to be in court. You know what I mean? Is he excited to be there?
Thank you, everybody. Please be seated. I will remind you. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Elbert, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Hadley.
Good morning.
You and I talked about a week ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
and
trying to
you,
figure it out
The day
myself.
before we talked, provided a supplemental disclosure of your opinions in this case, right?
Yes.
And nowhere in the opinions the day before we talked last week that you mentioned this incident window. Is that true? Would you like to see it?
By way of my chart, yes, it's the incident window, but I haven't charted it out exactly this way. Correct.
You said what?
I haven't laid it out exactly the way that we see it in front of us today. But all of the information that forms my opinion is in my chart.
Yeah, did you write anywhere on your chart, sir, that the incident window was between 12:15 and 12:26, sir? Anywhere?
It's not specifically called out, but again, all of the information on my report is the foundation.
Sir, I asked you a very specific question. Did you specifically write anywhere in the designation now that was submitted the day before your deposition a week ago that the incident window is between 12:15 to 12:26?
Objection asked and answered.
Incident. Hasn't been asked and answered, Your Honor. Can answer, sir.
So my designation indicates that I'm
Judge isn't
reviewing
paying
cell phone
attention.
records and mobile device related information, as well as other evidence that is provided to me, which helped come to this opinion. But I did not put the precise incident window in my designation.
Okay, so, and when we talked last week, you didn't mention a single time that the incident window was between 12:15 and 12:26, did you, sir?
I didn't specifically state that. However, through my answers, it should have been evident that that was the incident window. So I
We got
wasn't
an
specifically
attorney
asked the
laughing.
question.
Come on.
That's what the incident window
This
was.
gonna sit the judge.
Sir, were you not asked the question, are these all of your opinions in this case?
You did ask me that question.
And what did you say?
I said yes.
Okay, and are you now saying that you have an opinion outside of what we discussed after answering that we had discussed all of your opinions last week, sir?
No, I stand by my prior opinions as noted in my deposition. And given that more time
You
has
think the
passed, and
judge
I've
sent
had
this
more
clerk
opportunity
to
to analyze
Starbucks
the
to get
same
that
information.
mug or Target?
I've come to this particular opinion right here.
You did that between your
Jim, for the
deposition
gifted
last week
membership.
and before the day that you came to testify before this jury. Is that true?
No, the opinion was already formed the way that is laid out in front of us here today.
Okay, sir. I want to ask
And
you
that went to Scott.
some
How
questions
fancy is that?
about what your role is in this case. You're a digital forensics expert. Is that true?
Yes.
Meaning that you review phone records, logs, GPS data, smartphone data, smartwatch data, backup, images of devices, and other signals received and sent by Mr. Francis' devices or devices of others at or near the time of the subject incident. Is that what you're designated to testify about?
That was my original designation. And back when that was presented, I was unclear as to the evidence that was available. I assumed there would be mobile device data, like directly from a cell phone, for me to analyze. Turned out there wasn't. So I provided a supplemental designation that made that more narrow and focused on call logs and information from
Civil jury
And you
trials
also
are
reviewed
extremely
data
boring if you're
in this
not the
case, didn't you,
attorney
sir?
handling them.
Yes, I did.
Data from the actual locomotive and the remote control that was involved in this incident, didn't you, sir?
I reviewed that document, yes.
And we discussed that last week, didn't we, sir?
Yes.
And we discussed, and you know that the time ranges right here that you got listed on this board doesn't appear anywhere within the data that actually was pulled from a locomotive from the day of the incident.
Locomotive?
Isn't that true, sir?
I would say that's incorrect. Those times are to the second, and they're only off because of a time zone.
Is that what this is? Some dude got stuck under a train?
Is that your testimony, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so explain to this jury what you mean by a time zone difference.
So the EDR logs, which as I understand it, is the data that the final incident used.
See, there used to be this thing called railroad time.
It
And
lists
then
the
it
times
expanded into
1 hour later. So
the standard
so
time
let's
zone
say,
as we know
just
today.
as a total example, let's say we have 12 o'clock noon Central Time. That report would list that as 1 o'clock PM. So it appears that EDR log containing the EDR data is in Eastern time zone as opposed to the Central. And those times align to the same for every single activity that is listed in the final incident report.
And we discussed
Don't
this
go
last
under the
week.
train in the first place.
Yes, we did.
And you know that we discussed that wasn't true, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
We discussed that everything you just told us jury wasn't true last week, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Okay.
You're asking if everything we discussed was not true last week?
Did we not discuss that everything that you just said about Eastern time zone or whatever you're saying is untrue? Did we not discuss that last week, sir?
We discussed it, but I believe that that is true based on the fact that the time lines up to the second.
Let me ask you something, sir. Where did this incident occur?
In Louisiana.
What's the time zone in Louisiana?
Central.
Where is the company that owns the locomotive based?
I believe from my deposition last week, you told me they're based in Utah.
Okay, and you continued working, obviously, since the deposition. Have you confirmed that I was telling you anything but the truth, sir?
I have not confirmed one way or another.
Okay, what's the time zone of Salt Lake City, Utah?
I don't know right off the top of my head, but I would probably guess Mountain Time.
Okay, is it Eastern Standard Time, sir?
It is not.
Okay, so for what you just told the jury about the time zones being off, how do you explain an incident occurring in Louisiana, Central Standard Time, involving a locomotive and a remote control unit that was in Louisiana, Central Standard Time, owned by a company in Mountain Time, having data in Eastern Standard Time? How do you explain that to this jury, sir?
So
I'm
I
confused.
don't know what the company's headquarters has to do with it at all, to be honest. I don't know the locomotive. I'm not a locomotive expert. I'm not an EDR expert. I simply see that the timestamps in the EDR data align perfectly to the second to the timestamps that I see in the final incident report.
And you know that that's not true too, because we talked about it last week, correct?
I know that what's not,
That what you just said is not true.
I don't think that's correct.
Okay, did we not look at the data for the actual controller unit involved in this incident, sir?
I believe that we did, and I'm not an expert in the control unit, nor do I know what it is.
Well, okay, well, did we not look at the incident report to show that the throttle information from the controller unit was on the same line that the speed and the timestamps in the incident report was, sir? Did we not talk about that last week?
We did, however, I can't interpret the incident report.
I'm
not an
confused.
expert in that type of work. I don't claim to be. I'm merely using the timestamps as a reference point and aligning them with the information that I actually did analyze, which is the call logs and the mobile device data.
And we're going to talk about that, sir. But my point is, you looked at data that was represented in the same line of information within the incident report, and it wasn't 1 hour off, was it, sir?
The final incident report was not 1 hour off.
Okay, from the throttle data, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the throttle data.
Did we not talk about the throttle data in your deposition this week, sir?
We did, however, I have not analyzed the throttle data, so I can't speak to it.
Your Honor, no, sir, you looked at the throttle data at your deposition, and you told me at your deposition that the timestamps on the throttle data was from the period of time from 12:45 to 12:46. Do you remember that, sir?
Sir, I remember that. I don't know throttle data. I don't know what those times represent. The graph is extremely hard to read. I don't know what it's showing. I'm not an expert in that field, so I can't opine there. I'm sorry.
Sir, you're here testifying for the first time in your life today before the incident window is 12:15 through 12:26. Is that not true, sir?
That's not true. All of the work that I've done and the opinions that I provided to you during my deposition surmount to that.
Sir, have you ever said before today, before this jury, that the incident window
It's his
was
cherry. He's
12:15
popping
to
his cherry.
12:26?
Yes, by way of my chart.
Is that what you wanted me to interpret, sir?
Yes.
Okay, did you spell it out as that was your opinion of when this incident window was?
I tried the best I could to spell it out.
Why didn't you try it in your deposition when we talked, sir?
I did, sir.
Did you say that the incident occurred at this time?
I didn't specifically state that I know the incident occurred between 12:15 and 12:26.
It's actually pretty good cross.
Based on my answers during the deposition,
Actually, if he's trying to
one
say
could
that
surmise
it
that
didn't
was,
happen at
that
that
was the
time.
incident window.
Your Honor, may I approach?
I wish the judge was mic'd. I think he has his
I'm
mic
showing
turned
you what
off.
we looked at it in your deposition and marked as exhibit 214. You remember this chart?
Yes, sir.
All right, in this chart, do you have anywhere on this chart that the incident window is from 12:15 to 12:26, sir?
So if you look right here on the right side, where the shoe confirmation screen print is taken at 12:15, right? That's the beginning of that range. If you look here at when the call ends between Justin and Maticia at 12:26:58.
Well, who's
That is
Justin
the end of
and
the incident.
Maticia? I want to know now.
Did you put anywhere on this document that that is the incident?
I am retired from streaming.
I did not, however, that's the purpose of this.
I'm not
graph.
supposed to be
The purpose of
on
this graph
stream.
is to show
I'm supposed to
you,
be like
the jury,
working
everyone here today,
with this thing
that
going in
this
the
is the time
background.
frame that the call logs show, and it's aligned with the final incident report. And one can come to a conclusion based on what they see here, that the incident window had to have been between 12:15:00 and 12:26:58.
And you see this red line of information right there?
Mhm.
What does that line of information say?
So that line for the timestamp indicates 12:15:13, and reads Justin Francis fell off the UTLX 911000 and his right arm was struck by the L4 wheel of the lead car as the consist
I
came
bet
to
you
a
he was trying to
stop,
take a selfie.
which is verbatim taken from the final incident report as indicated by the source on the right. So,
And you highlighted that in red, right?
yes,
And at your deposition, you promised to do something before trial with that line, correct?
I don't think I made any promises.
Did you agree to do something with that line before trial, sir?
I believe that you asked me to put a note indicating that it could or could not be accurate.
I think I said, would you like to put the word, would you agree to put the word, this is wrong on that line?
I would not put that.
Is that what you told me at your deposition?
I don't recall my exact wording, but I would not put that.
Well,
as I sit here.
well, I'm asking you, do you recall what you told me at your deposition when I asked if you would put that
definitely
line of
watching the
information
screen.
is inaccurate on your report before trial?
I recall you asking,
And you recall what you said?
but I don't recall ever saying that I would do that because I don't think it's inaccurate. I have no reason to say it is accurate or it is inaccurate. It's merely a data point.
Mhm. So what I'd like to do, sir, is to talk to you about these windows of time that have
I just put
suddenly
up a
appeared
poll in
before
the chat.
trial, okay? You talk
All right, hang on.
to this jury about windows or blocks of time dating back. Your Honor, may I approach the report?
He's a finger biter,
Remember talking about this,
the
sir?
judges.
Yes, I do.
These windows of time here, from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. said 0 calls, 0 texts, right?
Correct.
You're not here to testify that this incident occurred between 6 and 8 a.m., are you, sir?
I do not believe the incident occurred between 6 and 8.
8 and 10 a.m., you said there was 1 call, 0 text. You're not here to testify that the incident occurred between 8 and 10 a.m. on March 7th, 2022, sir.
I don't believe he fell from the train between 8 and 10 a.m.
Okay, and this window of time from 10 a.m. to this 12:26:58 p.m., you said there were 6 calls and 12 texts, correct?
Yes.
How many of those calls and texts were in your incident window?
I'll need to go back and calculate real quick.
Take your time.
There's 2 calls.
Which ones?
There's a call between Justin Francis and Matisha Francis,
Okay,
and a call
Did you
between
just see
Justin
the Stanley
Francis
mug?
and Kendrick Hebert.
okay.
As for the text messages,
Mhm.
just give me a moment, please. There's one text message that is sent by Justin.
And that would be the image, right?
Yes.
All right, now, you just told this jury that there were 6 phone calls and 12 text messages, but now you're saying that within your alleged incident
It's behind
window
his computer screen.
that you
He pulls it
recently
up
came
with
up
his left
with,
hand.
that there is 2 phone calls and 1 text message, correct?
Objection, argumentative, misstates the witness's prior
I'll
testimony.
rephrase, Your Honor. Within the incident window, you're
Judge
now telling
does
the
not
jury
care.
that there was 2 phone calls.
He's writing
and
his
1 text
novella.
message, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Is that what's relevant to this jury?
I would think that the jury would want to consider everything presented to them today. There's the activity that is within the incident window, and then there's also the activity before the incident window, and that may be relevant.
How would it be relevant, sir?
Objection calls for a legal conclusion.
Your Honor, he is here testifying as an expert witness.
Hit him off.
And he's been provided windows of time when phone calls allegedly occurred. This is precisely what he's here to testify about, Your Honor. I think that's a fair question. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I can't speculate what
Judge,
what one
unmute
might use it
yourself.
for.
Come on,
and I'm
get
not
on
an
mic.
expert on what he was doing that day or the train or the systems or anything like that. All I can do is present the facts of what happened in the call logs and what the mobile data is showing us that plaintiffs provided, and gathering information from the depositions and piecing it together.
Okay, but you did that in your designation, right? You included information about the train's movement in your designation, didn't you, sir?
I didn't specifically say anything in my designation about analyzing the train's movement.
Sir, do you not have timestamps associated with what the train was doing all throughout that chart that you're sitting there holding right now?
I've included them as a reference point. However, it's not my area of expertise. It's merely a timestamp, another data point.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to discuss what I was just talking to you about these windows of time, right? And I'm talking to you now about what you considered with the information that you gathered from the phone records in the hours leading up to this incident. Did you consider anything relating to those calls or messages or whatever from 6 a.m. to 11:53 a.m. in your conclusions in this case?
So my main conclusion in this case, which is that Justin Francis was on the phone at the time of the incident.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have a bearing on that. However, I think it's important it was important for me to analyze the records before coming to that opinion. So that's all analysis that I performed, analyzing the call records prior to that 12:15. As well, to understand calls and texts that happened throughout the day.
And how did the understanding of the calls and texts that happened throughout the day assist you in formulating your opinion that Mr. Francis was on the phone at the time of the incident, sir?
They assisted me in formulating that opinion by eventually narrowing to that incident window of 12:15:00 and 12:26:58.
So the reason you used the prior calls was so that you can exclude them, right?
I looked at all of the calls from March 7th.
Mhm.
My intent was not to exclude anything from that day. I reviewed the calls, the texts. I reviewed the screen prints that were provided. I overlaid that information with the timeline, and looking at all the totality of evidence, I narrowed down to this particular window. So there was no intent to ever exclude anything from that day.
Sir, why don't you have the timestamps from the data in your chart?
Can you explain what data is?
The data that we discussed that I was just standing up there talking to you about from the EDR, from the
Yeah,
OCU.
okay. I apologize. There's a lot of data in this case, so I just wanted to make sure I knew what you were talking about.
Okay, so the data from the locomotive and the control unit, why didn't you include that in your chart?
So that data is the same data that's in the Savage incident report. It's, again, as I said, it's to the second. So including that data would essentially create duplicative records.
Sir. Okay. Let's go to the OCU data. And I'm looking at plaintiff's 198, which has already been admitted into evidence. We looked at this data in your deposition, and we discussed that this data was the throttle data from the OCU. Okay? Remember that?
I do.
Remember we discussed that the throttle data was included in the same line of text that is including the timestamps that you're referring to as being the time of the incident, right, sir? In your chart.
Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
The throttle data
Mhm.
is the same data that's referenced in the same line that has when this incident allegedly occurred in the incident report you're referring to in your opinion, correct?
Sir, I don't know how that report or how the data is organized or how it's formed. I can't speak to that. I'm not an expert in that area.
Sir, is that not the throttle data that you have in here?
It says at the top, commanded throttle.
Okay, all right, and all I'm asking you to do is to look at the timestamps that's on that page. And we looked at it in your deposition. We're trying to get it as clear as we can for you. You can look at it on the screen, or you can look at it in the document.
Yeah, it appears this document has not changed since you showed it to me in my deposition.
And you see timestamps from 12:45 through 12:46, 12:47, right?
Yes.
Is that an hour off from 12:15, sir?
Did you ask if it's an hour
Is
off?
that range of time an hour off the time of 12:15?
Is 12:47 an hour off of 12:15?
Yeah.
No.
So that can't be explained by a time zone change, correct?
Well, this is not the EDR data. I don't know what this is, sir.
Sir, that is the data from the remote control unit that Mr. Francis was operating allegedly at the time of this incident, correct?
I wonder why
don't
the
know
timing
what
is
that is.
so
I don't know what Mr.
critical
Francis
to
was
this
using.
case.
Are you a digital forensics expert, sir?
Yes.
And part of being a digital forensics expert is to consider all of the digital forensics that you have at your disposal before rendering conclusions. Isn't that true, sir?
If there's available evidence for me to review and I'm capable and I feel like I'm qualified to do so, absolutely.
So that evidence was available to you and you were given that evidence before you testified in your deposition, true?
I was not given any other system or device.
Sir, you were given that data that you're holding in your hand prior to your deposition. Is that true?
This means nothing to me. I analyze file systems. I analyze computers. I analyze operating systems. Like this tells me nothing. It's timestamps and a graph.
Why didn't you call somebody to find out, hey, this appears to be data from the incident, and I'm trying to be as accurate as possible before I go testify in front of a jury to get some help with it if you didn't understand, sir?
I spent my focus on reviewing the call logs and mobile device related data. The timestamps I took from the final incident report were merely brought over as a data point. I didn't analyze them in any way besides carrying them over and overlaying them with the data that I was tasked to reviewing and which I'm an expert at doing.
Well, sir, to be fair, you include the actual timestamps from the incident report that was provided to you in your opinions, correct?
No, in fact, if you took out that 12, 15, 13, that is in this chart right here highlighted in red, my opinion changes in no way. My opinion still sticks.
Well, if we took out 12, 15 from your incident window, can we do that? Because that's where it came from, right?
The facts
Where
don't
did 12,
fit your
15
theory, change the facts.
Came from the shoe purchase screen print that plaintiffs produced.
Okay, so the reason you think that the incident may have occurred at 12:15 is because a shoe purchase was made at 12:15. Is that true?
A shoe purchase.
Well, I don't think that the incident happened at 12:15. That's the beginning of the window.
So why don't we take that off of your window then? If you don't have any evidence to support this incident occurring at 12:15, how do we start your window at 12:15, sir?
I don't have anything to say that it didn't occur at 12:15 either. I just know that that is the incident window based on the totality of evidence.
Okay, well, let's talk about if it did occur at 12:15 first, okay? Because you don't want to remove it from your window. All right? If it occurred at 12:15, how do you explain a text message sending a screenshot of a purchase that was made at 12:15 a minute later at 12:16? How do you explain that, sir?
So as we discussed earlier, there's transmission delay, especially with large volumes of data. There was a screen print that, was likely in the megabytes and not that, smaller SMS size that I described. And for a piece of data of larger volume, such as an image sent over MMS, that would take longer than a small message. So that time, that transmission delay means that image could have actually been sent by Mr. Francis seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, before it actually hits that cell tower for transmission to Kendrick Hebert.
Okay, so you stand on the point that the incident may have occurred at 12:15. And at the same time of 12:15, a text message may have been sent, but it took a while for it to be delivered to the tower. So that's why the timestamp in the phone records would be 12:60. Is that your testimony?
Correct. Due to transmission delay,
Okay, so
MMS could have been delayed all the way until, it could have been sent earlier and could have been delayed all the way till 12:16.
okay, so let's stay on this hypothetical. It's happening at 12:15. You would agree that based on your review of Mr. Francis' phone records, during the time of 12:15, he's still on the phone with his brother Kendrick, wouldn't you, sir?
Yes,
Right. He's on the phone with Kendrick until what time, sir?
12:17:48.
Okay, so the incident happened at 12:15. He's on the phone with his brother for an additional 2 minutes, right? According to you.
Did you say the incident happened at 12:15?
That's what you said,
I
right?
did not say that.
I'm talking to you about why you want to keep it on the window here, sir. Because if you don't think it happened at 12:15, we could just strike through it.
It
Can we
could
do
have
that?
happened at 12:15.
Okay,
I'm not saying it did.
okay, well, here we go. If it happened at 12:15, he's still on the phone with his brother for 2 more minutes, correct?
If it happened at 12:15, he's still on the phone with his brother. Yes, for 2 minutes and 48 seconds.
Okay, all right. So his brother was on the phone with him when this incident occurred, correct?
I can't say that either one way or another. I just know that this is the incident window. And I do know that he was on the phone with his brother during that incident window.
Okay, and you understand the jury has heard from his brother, right?
I don't know if they have or have not.
Okay, and his brother testified that during the time that he was on the phone with his brother, he had a normal phone call and ended the phone call in a normal way. Do you have any reason to disagree with that, sir?
I haven't reviewed his testimony, so I don't dispute it. I don't agree. I don't know.
But you did review his phone records, didn't you?
Yes.
Go to Kendrick's phone records.
They're trying to say that it sounds like the engineer was potentially distracted and not doing his job when the accident occurred. And so that seems to be why the timing is so critical. Because if the engineer was not on his phone, was in fact paying attention, then the liability for either the engineer
Are you at Kendrick's phone
or
records?
the train
I do have
company might be
Kendrick's
limited.
phone records in front of me, yes.
Okay. All right. So the phone records for Mr. Hebert would be, what time did it show that the phone call between Mr. Francis and Mr. Hebert happened on the day of the incident?
So it shows a call beginning at 12:11 p.m.
Okay. And it ended based on your review of the records.
So since this is a phone bill and not a complete CDR, Verizon rounds their minutes of the duration and it indicates the call lasts for 7 minutes.
Okay. And that would mean that the phone call ended at what time?
By referencing Justin Francis's records, which is the same call, the phone call ends at 12:17:48 p.m.
All right. And the phone call ends at 12:17:48. And according to this, what time does it say that after that phone call, that would be the first phone call on this line, correct?
That's the first phone call in the report, yes.
Oh, yeah, March the 7th at 12:11, he receives a phone call from the number associated with Mr. Justin Francis, and he's got a 7-minute phone call with him, according to this, correct?
Correct.
All right. And by your tabulation, the phone call would have ended at 12:17:48, right?
Yes.
All right. So given that, if this incident occurred at 12:15, he's on the phone for an additional 2 minutes and 48 seconds with his brother, right? According to this.
Yes.
Okay. And his brother, who's on the phone with him while he's trapped under a train with his arm trapped beneath the train, what did he do after this, according to the phone records?
So I don't know that Justin is under the train or not during that time frame. I just know that the incident window is 12:15 to 12:28. The call ends at 12:17.
Mhm.
So he could have fallen in that window between 12:15 or in the window between 12:17 and 12:26.
But well,
So it's hard for me to say if he was or wasn't under the
we haven't moved through that point yet, sir. We're still talking about the incident occurring at 12:15. All right. If the incident occurred at 12:15, he's on the phone for an additional 2 minutes, and he's on the phone with his brother. And when the phone call ends, what does his brother do according to the phone records?
So the
The
call
victim was
terminates at
on the phone.
12:17
Mhm.
and
Go ahead, one more line.
at 12:19, Justin receives an SMS from Cash App.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do you know who that Cash App came from?
So based on the information that plaintiffs have produced, which was a screen print from Cash App,
Mhm.
connecting the dots, it would seem that that would be a payment.
Right.
Based
So
on what y'all are saying.
right. So according to the phone records and the Cash App printout, when this phone call ended, after 2 minutes of his brother being in agony beneath the train, he sent him a Cash App. Right?
I
Under that hypothetical.
I can't say whether or not he was under the train. But I can tell you that Justin received an SMS at 12:19:10.
Okay, and you can also see from Kendrick's phone records that he didn't make another phone call or receive another phone call until what time, sir?
The next one is at 1:29 p.m.
And you recognize that number, right?
Yes, that would be Matisha Francis's number.
Okay. So I'll represent to you that the jury heard that that's when he was notified of the incident involving Mr. Francis. You have any reason to disagree with that, sir?
I don't have any reason to dispute it. Don't have anything else to support it either. As I stated, this is his phone bill, so we only have one of the two pieces of the puzzle here that the other CDRs have, which is like, this is just phone records.
Mhm.
We have no indication as to what Kendrick was texting during this time because it's not included in a phone bill.
Okay, so so what are you implying, sir?
Oh, I'm just making everyone aware that
I ain't applying
I
shit.
can't say whether there was activity or not outside of the next phone call. Just clarifying.
Okay, so what you do have is information that almost an hour and 20 minutes later, Kendrick received a phone call from Matisha, Justin's wife. It's right there in front of you, right? You have that information, don't you?
Yes.
And you're telling this jury that it may still be possible that text messages were sent saying what, sir?
I don't know. I can't speculate because I don't have evidence of his text messages in front of me.
Is it more likely true than not true that this incident occurred at 12:15, sir?
I can't state that either. I only know the incident window, and 12:15 is one of the possibilities.
Does it make sense to you that this incident occurred at 12:15?
12:15:00 on the dot?
Anywhere between 12:15 and 12:17 when the phone call ended with Kendrick. Does that make sense to you, sir?
I don't know.
I
what
think
the
we need to
Stanley
leave it
Cup
open
says.
as one
I
of the
just noticed that he
possibilities.
had
It's part
it.
of the incident window.
I'm not asking you to leave it open. I'm asking you as an expert, digital forensic expert that's been paid by Sassel to testify before this jury. Does it make sense to you that this incident occurred between the time period of 12:15 and 12:17:48?
That's one of the possibilities.
Even given everything that you've just talked about before this jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So what's your next possibility of when this incident occurred, sir?
As I stated, it could have occurred anytime between 12:15:00 and 12:26:58.
Okay, all right. So there was some other information given to you, Your Honor.
Sidebar. Time for a sidebar.
Remember this, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Where'd you get these two times from?
So those are from this report. It's the SIR, Sassel Safety Incident Report.
Okay. Who put that report together?
It says Sassel and it says report prepared by Anthony Bordelon.
Mm-hmm. And what did Anthony Bordelon say about where he got those timestamps from?
I haven't reviewed it in that detail. So which timestamps are you referring to?
The timestamps that's on this board that
12,
you just
18, and
said, yes, sir,
12,
yes, sir. Those timestamps, where'd they come from?
The 1219, I don't see it here. I'm not familiar with how this report is put together and how, you know, he would have done it. The 1218, same answer. I'm just not, I'm not an expert in this area. I don't know how these safety incident reports are put together.
Sir, did you just testify that this is the big 4 minutes, that these are the big timestamps that the jury needs to pay attention to?
I think they're data points.
Are they?
They are. I mean, that's a data point. 1219, 1218 is a data point. 1215, 13 is a data point. They're from sources.
Are 1246 through 1247 from the actual remote control unit data points?
They are.
Why are they not anywhere in your opinion, sir?
Again, I don't know what that data is showing, and also the totality of evidence led me to the opinion that the incident occurred between 12:15:00 and the end of Justin's call with Matisha at 12:26.
Okay, let's get back to 1218 and 1219. The 1218 and 1219 come directly from that document you're holding in your hand, correct?
Yes.
And you just said you're not an expert in interpreting the data from documents or whatever. Are you, or is that within phone records, what you have in your hand?
I'm sorry, can you ask the last?
Is that document a phone record that you have in
It
your
is
hand?
not a phone record.
Is that document anything that you would look to in terms of digital forensics work, sir?
As part of my typical workflow and investigation, as any expert would, you would want to see other evidence that's available, and if there's timestamps, to try to get an understanding of what may have happened or what could have happened. Not necessarily to opine on what happened in the call records, but just to provide context.
But you just testified that those are possibilities of when this incident occurred, right?
All three of them fall within the window when I believe it occurred, yes.
Okay, so 1218 and 1219, I just want to be clear, comes from a document that was typed up by a gentleman named Anthony Borland, correct?
That appears to be true.
And you did nothing to confirm or figure out where he got those timestamps from, did you, sir?
I did not, other than receiving the report.
Those timestamps don't appear anywhere on the incident report as a possibility of where this incident occurred that you're relying on from Savage, correct?
The incident report indicates that he fell at 12:15:13, so correct, that is not the same as 12:19 or 12:18.
And it doesn't include 1218 or 1219 as a possibility of when this incident occurred anywhere in that incident report, true?
Again, it lists 12:15:13 as the time he fell.
So that would be a yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So 12:15:13, we've already discussed, is nowhere on the actual data that was extracted from the EDR, correct?
As I previously stated, the data from the incident report matches to the second with what is in the EDR data.
Sir, can you answer my question? 12:15:13 doesn't appear anywhere on it, correct?
When converted to the Eastern time zone, it does, yes. But
Why not?
the exact number 12:15:13 does not appear there.
Sir, why don't we convert the time that's actually on the data to mountain time? Then what time would it be?
Then it would be 11.
Is that in your range?
Yeah.
Why didn't you convert it to mountain time?
Because the totality of evidence indicated that the incident occurred within the 12 o'clock hour central time.
Why didn't we convert it to Pacific time, sir?
Same answer.
How do you know that the data that was pulled from the locomotive wasn't in UTC time? You don't know, do you?
I know that those times, each lineup, each and every one aligns to the second as to what is in the incident report.
Let's go back to the data. The plaintiff's exhibit 198. Go to the first page of this data. You know what I mean? I approach. Remember we looked at this, sir?
Yes,
All right. And this would be the first page of the data that you reviewed in this case, correct?
yes, that's the first page of it.
And who's this data downloaded by?
I don't know who downloaded the report.
What does it say here, sir?
It says downloaded by Jay.
Who's Jay?
I don't know.
Some guy named Jay, right? What does it say right here in the middle of the page, sir? Can you read this to the jury?
It says the recorder has internal diagnostic faults detected.
What does that mean to you, sir?
I have no idea. I'm not an expert on this system or this data.
Is it a possibility that instead of the data being an hour off because it's an East Coast time, it's an hour off because there's diagnostic faults? Is that a possibility?
I don't know because I'm not familiar with this system.
Okay. How did Savage, in formulating its incident report and determining that this incident occurred at 12:15:13, convert the data to that number, sir? How did they do it?
Objection calls for speculations.
Your Honor, he's testifying, he's relying on this internal report. He can answer if he knows, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
I was just gonna say I can't speculate.
Is that your answer?
That's my answer. I can't speculate. I don't know.
So why did you put it on this page, sir?
Again, it's just a data point. It's a report that seems to be important to the case. It's simply a data point. And as I mentioned earlier, even without that data point, my opinion doesn't change.
All right, so we're still within your range. Sir, 12:15:13, can't speculate, you can't confirm that that's when it's occurred, correct?
Can't confirm or deny, either way. I just know that it's in my range.
12:18, you don't even know where that number came from, correct?
1218 came from the SIR.
Written by Anthony Borland, right?
Correct.
Written by Anthony Borland, right?
That's what it says.
And you don't know where he got that from, do you?
I don't because I'm not familiar with investigation reports and how they're conducted.
12:19, where did you get that from?
The same SIR report.
So that same SRR report has two different times in it. Sir,
Yes,
that makes sense to you?
I can't speculate. I don't know how this data comes together. I don't know the backend database. I don't know where fields go. I can't speculate how this document came to be.
Sir, the truth is, you can't testify under a reasonable degree of digital forensic certainty that this incident occurred at 12:15:13, 12:18, or 12:19. Can you, sir?
Those precise times, no. However, I can testify that it occurred between 12:15:00 and 12:26.
Okay, so let's talk about this phone activity that you've been discussing, okay? The phone activity, remember you talked about the 6 calls and 12 text messages?
Yes.
How many of those 6 calls and 12 text messages occurred during a time period after 12:19 throughout the end of your range, sir?
$12.19 through the end of my range, it would just be the one phone call between Justin and Letitia.
Okay, which began at what time?
11:53:03 a.m., 33 minutes.
Okay, now, that's the only thing that's going on between 12:19 and 12:26, true?
I can't speculate as to if that's the only thing going on. I can say that the call logs show that that's the activity that's going on.
All right, so everything else we've already discussed. Now we're on to the phone call between Justin and Letitia, true?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
True. Now we're talking about the phone call between Justin and Letitia.
Okay,
True?
we can talk about the call.
Okay, so, all right. On that phone call, it's your understanding, based on the evidence you reviewed, that both Justin and Matisha were using their Bluetooth earpieces. Is that not true?
I can't say based on the phone records whether they were or not, but I understand that they both stated use of such things in their depositions. Yeah.
And let me ask you, sir, do you have any reason or any evidence to disprove that, sir?
Nothing to support it, nothing to disprove it apart from their word.
Okay, so so you're here today testifying that Mr. Francis was on the phone at the time of this incident. Are you saying that Mr. Francis was being dishonest when he said that he was using his earpiece and not on the cell phone at the time of this incident, sir? Is that your testimony?
No, I'm simply saying that he was on the phone.
Are you saying that his wife was being dishonest when she said that she had her earpiece in and not connected to Mr. Francis when he fell from the actual train? Are you saying that she's being dishonest about that, sir?
No, I'm only saying that that Justin was on the phone.
Are you saying that Kendrick Hebert was being dishonest when he said that his phone call ended with Justin just as any normal phone call would, by saying that Mr. Francis was actually on the phone at the time of the incident?
So I can't speculate because I wasn't there. I do know though that their call ended at 12:17:48, as indicated in the cell records.
So was he being dishonest when he said that the phone call ended as a normal call and the incident didn't happen while he was on the phone?
I don't know if he was being dishonest or not.
Okay, so this phone call with Mr. Francis and his wife, all right? Now, when I talked to you last week, you and I agreed about something. You remember that?
Can you refresh my memory on what?
I can. You and I agreed that if a person is on hold based on the Galaxy Note 20 that both Justin and Matisha had at the time of this incident, what has to happen in order for that phone call to reconnect?
So based on the research that I've done, that particular model, it seems in most cases would need some sort of action to reconnect.
Okay.
However, I think that's still an open question, because there's others that say that it does auto connect, including Al's own expert, Will Ono.
Okay, excuse me? What did you just say?
I believe in Mr. Odom's testimony, he indicated that an action may not be required.
Are you sure about that, sir?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the jury has already heard from Mr. Odom, and we'll take what they've already heard from Mr. Odom. Okay. You did research, sir. You looked into the Galaxy Note 20, and you testified under oath that it requires an action from Mr. Francis to reconnect the call after it's been on hold, right?
So as I stated, based on my research, it seems that that's the case.
Okay.
However, there is information out there that says there could be certain circumstances where that's not the case. And the fact that other experts, including Mr. Odom, have had uncertainty around that, I think there needs to be an open question there.
You think there needs to be an open question there? Let me ask you this, sir. Let me ask you this. Do we at least agree that after Mr. Francis ended his call with his brother, that he was on hold with his wife?
So just so I can kind of walk through this and make sure we're on the same page. Justin and Matisha are on a call. She gets a call. Justin is put on hold. He calls Kendrick. So that call between Matisha and Justin is on hold during the call between Justin and Kendrick. That call terminates with Kendrick at 12:17:48. So prior to termination, that call between Justin and Matisha is still right? So I think the question is after that call with Kendrick and Justin terminates, is he automatically connected back with Matisha, or does he have to push some sort of button or perform some sort of action to be reconnected.
So you're saying that that's a question now?
I think that is the question. As I said, based on my research, it seems to be the case that there would have needed to be some sort of action by Mr. Francis to be reconnected, but there's other possibilities.
Did you say that that it's more than likely probability that an action would have been required to reconnect?
I would say that that's still true.
And that's what you understand to be the case. More likely than not. More likely true than not true.
Based on what I've researched, it seems likely. Now, I can't put a percentage on it, right? But there's variables involved. There is a possibility that they could have been auto-connected.
Okay, what are the other variables, sir?
So other variables include the version or operating system that was on that Samsung device. The settings that were on that device potentially could have allowed them to auto-connect. And then, of course, there's the thing that, you know, us as cell phone users all deal with, and that's issues, bugs. Something in that way could also potentially happen.
So it might have been a bug that caused them to auto-connect.
That's one of the possibilities, sure.
And another possibility you said is that the operating system might have caused them to auto-connect after being on hold, right?
Right. Certain, with every update to an operating system, there's changes in functionality. And it's possible that with, a certain release of the operating system, that functionality could have changed.
What operating system did Mr. Francis and his wife have on their phone, sir?
I don't know because I haven't analyzed either of those phones.
Sir, if you analyze those phones in 2025, which was the first time that Mr. Francis was ever alleged to be on the phone, do you think you'd be analyzing the operating system that was on the phone at the time of this incident, sir?
I don't know, but it's possible.
Okay, let me ask you this, sir. You got that SIR in front of you. You see any mention of Mr. Francis being on the phone in that SIR?
I'm sorry, what was the question about the?
Do you see any mention of Mr. Francis being on the phone at the time of the incident in that document that SASL prepared following the incident when they were doing an investigation?
I may have a moment to.
Take your time, sir.
I don't see that it's specifically mentioned. However, I do see a number of supporting documentation, including witness statements, drawings, and pictures. And I haven't reviewed those, so it's possible, since they're part of the report, that it could say something there.
Point being, sir, have you seen a single document in your investigative materials you've been provided in this case that has ever accused Mr. Francis of being on the phone at the time of this incident, prepared by SASL or Savage, sir?
I haven't. However, I will note that the date on this report is March 7th, 2021. And the report received from AT&T, the call detail records for Justin Francis, the date on there is April 30th, 2024. So I don't know if the information was or was not available to them, but based on those dates, it would seem that it wasn't.
Just FYI, I'm probably going to be stopping this when they go on their lunch break because
So after
I
April
have
4th,
other
2024,
activities.
do you see any documents from Savage or SASL indicating that Mr. Francis was on the phone, sir?
But I'll try to keep
I
this
haven't
going
seen any
every
of
day
them
I can.
provided.
You've never seen any allegations against this man until November of last year that he was on the phone. Isn't that true, sir?
I don't recall reading a specific allegation anywhere.
When were you retained by SASL, sir?
I believe it would
Yeah,
have
something
been
like that, Justin.
sometime in mid-December 2025.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this, sir. When we talk about this span of time, this period of time between 12/19 through 12:26. The only way that Mr. Francis was actually actively on the phone with his wife at the time of this incident would require that he be dishonest under oath and his wife be dishonest under oath. True?
No. The call records show that there was an active call between him and Letitia during that time frame.
So what you're saying is that in your opinion is really in this case that Mr. Francis was on the phone at the time of the incident. You actually mean that the call was still connected at the time of the incident. Is that true?
I mean, we're talking semantics here, but he was on the phone. I can't tell you. I wasn't
I
there.
know you can't. Was he on the Bluetooth talking to his wife at the time of the incident?
I don't have evidence to analyze if he was or was not on Bluetooth.
You have evidence to analyze if he was not on Bluetooth, don't you, sir?
Let me re-ask the question. So you said I have evidence that he was not on Bluetooth? Can you repeat the question?
You have evidence in your file that he was not connected to his wife on Bluetooth and on a call with his wife at the time of this incident, don't you, sir?
I don't think I have any evidence to say if he was or was not on Bluetooth.
Do you have
I
any
do like
evidence
this
indicating
exchange. I think this is a good cross-examination,
at the time of this call?
but I am disappointed in the
No,
judge's
call
lack
logs
of
don't show
activity.
if someone is talking or not.
Do you have any evidence to indicate that he and his wife were not speaking during this call?
Again, call logs don't indicate if someone is talking or not.
Did you review anything from did you review anything from his wife indicating whether or not they actually were on a call at the time of this incident, sir? In preparation and formulating your conclusions in this case.
I did. I read her declaration and I also reviewed.
Yeah,
her-
he's annoying,
her
but that's
deposition.
the idea. He's
Did they
supposed to
conflict?
be annoying the expert.
Are you asking if her declaration conflicted with her testimony?
Yeah,
What specifically? I mean,
I'm asking anything.
I don't recall. Her
Okay.
testimony was quite long.
Has she ever said anything different indicating that she was on the phone with her husband during the most horrible moment of his life, sir?
Can you re-ask that one more time, please?
Has his wife ever indicated to anyone that she was connected, speaking to her husband during the most horrible moment of his life, sir?
I don't know if she has indicated that to anyone or not.
Have you heard or read or spoken to anyone or seen any documents indicating that she has, sir?
She has indicated that she heard him screaming and was asking for help. I don't know how she would know if she was on the phone during his fault or not. Like, was it a video call? No, I don't know. I can't speculate on that one.
What makes you know that this incident occurred or that the bookend of the range is actually 12:26 and 28 seconds, sir? Or let me confirm that time.
12:26:58.
12:26:58. How do you know that the bookend was this time, sir? This time. How do you know that?
So that's the end of the call with Maticia. And then immediately following, or just a little over a minute following, Justin calls Philip Smith, which I understand to be, an individual where he's asking for help from the company.
Okay, so we've already talked about 12:15 through 12:19. If the incident occurred at 12:19, does it make sense to you that he called for help at 12:28 and continued talking to his wife for 7 more minutes?
I mean, I really can't say one way or the other because I'm not there. I read Mr. Francis's testimony indicating that he had a watch and was trying to call and all that. So I don't know what went into all of it because I was not there.
Does it make sense to you, sir, that Mr. Francis would remain on the phone with his wife for
No, it does
7
not.
minutes after 12:19, and then his wife, after the phone call and after they hang up at 12:26, only then would she begin calling for help for him? Does that make sense?
It could.
Sir, you did review Matisha Francis's phone records, didn't you?
Yes.
And you saw that when their phone call ended at 12:26:58 p.m., that she made a bunch of calls, didn't she, sir? Back to back.
I believe that she did.
Okay. And one of those calls was actually to Savage, wasn't it, sir?
I don't recall. I would need to look.
Okay. Did you recall what she said in her testimony? Did you look up the phone numbers in the phone records? You did? Well, then you saw that one of those phone calls she made was to Savage immediately after 12:26:58. True?
I would need to go back and look at that one. You give me a moment?
Go for it.
If I remember correctly, this witness has been on the stand for now 2 days. Must be a really important witness.
So I'm looking at Matisha's phone records.
Yeah.
Could you please point out to me which row you're referring?
Which row? Excuse me?
Can you please point out to me which row you're referring to?
Which row am I referring to?
If you're asking me about a call that she made to Savage.
You didn't look?
No,
You didn't look this up?
you've asked me a question about a particular phone call, and I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right call.
Okay, the phone calls that are listed following the phone call with Justin after 12:28:56 or 58, 12:26:58. Those phone calls. You see Savage's number in there, don't you?
So I see a number ending in 0940 that she called
Excuse me?
at 12:29.
Right. And then where did she call?
Not connected.
Okay, well then where did she call?
At 12:29:32,
Mhm.
she calls a number ending in 6725.
Okay, all right. Getting close.
Yeah, it's a bit
She called that
slow
number
and
twice,
painful.
didn't she, sir? Or it's
I
two
agree.
line entries for that number. Right?
It looks like that's the same call, right? Two
Did
entries.
she connect to that call?
That call was not connected.
Okay, the first call that she connected to, whose number is that, sir?
It ends in 0004.
Is that Savage's number, sir?
I don't have the translation in front of me at this very moment to confirm, but I'll take your word for it.
Did you look? I mean, did you confirm? Did you even look into that, sir?
I may have. I don't have the record in front of
You
me.
may have, sir. You just talked to this jury about phone calls that were made at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. all the way up until 12:26:58 p.m. Isn't that true, sir?
Yes.
So you looked at all of that stuff, knowing that none of that stuff had anything to do with this incident. And you didn't look at the follow-up calls that his wife made after this phone call, sir, to identify whether or not she attempted to call Savage like she said in her deposition and said in the declaration that you have in your file? You didn't look that up?
So I didn't look up the call at 12:31:15 because it was already outside of my window. I included the earlier stuff for one reason, due to transmission delay. A photo could be sent, as I said, seconds, minutes, or if cell phone service is really bad, even longer, or perhaps not even at all, as your expert, William Odom, also stated in his deposition. So I thought it prudent to also include records before the window as well.
all the way at 6 a.m., right?
Yes,
No, the truth is, sir, you didn't include from 6 a.m. to 11:40 a.m. in your opinions, did you, sir? That's nowhere in your chart, is it?
it's not in my chart, but I certainly have provided opinions on it.
It's not in your chart because I know you provided opinions today at trial in front of this jury, but it's not even in the chart that you provided to me the day before your deposition, and we didn't discuss it during your deposition, did we, sir?
Objection, ask and answer. I think.
It's not been asked and answered. This is okay. Point is, sir,
Mic yourself,
outside
Judge.
of the
Come on.
window, this 12:15 to 12:26 window, you are telling this jury that you didn't do
I
anything
feel like
to
I'm
confirm what
I
his
feel like
wife
I'm watching
did
like a
immediately
bum fight
following
and
the
I
phone
wanted
call?
to just take off. Come on, let's see some Jerry
And
Springer
those
shit going
records
on.
were included in my analysis. I looked at them. However, once I had my incident window narrowed down, it wasn't worth spending my time digging into times that were much later after the time I already knew the incident to have occurred.
Okay, so let me go back real quick. These are Kendrick Hebert's records, right?
Correct.
Did you look at what he did immediately following the phone call he received at 1:29 p.m. from Matisha, Justin's wife? Did you look into that?
Yes, I saw these phone records.
Okay, and back out a little bit, go back to the document. What is this column
Twisted
here?
from judge to trial.
The origination column. What does that mean, sir?
I mean, the case is kind of interesting. I'm getting a little bored with this expert.
Location that's closest.
The case is
The
a little
GPS
bit.
location of
I wish
where
I
this
could
man
stream it
is,
more.
right? When these calls are being made, correct?
In my mind,
I
this was
don't
going to
know
be
if that
like
is true.
Is it?
It might
quick
be
morning docket
instead
of him
the-
yelling at a bunch of
like
attorneys.
the location associated with the number itself. So let's say I'm from Chicago and I have a Chicago area code.
Mhm.
The phone bill might indicate that because I have that Chicago area code, even though I'm in Louisiana,
Mhm.
you know, on that day, it might indicate Chicago, Illinois.
Is it the closest tower where this cell phone is connected to, sir?
I don't believe that it is.
Okay, well, let's look at it. Let's look at it. At 1:29 p.m., go ahead and call it out there. At 1:29 p.m., Mr. Hebert receives a call from, go all the way down. He needs to go all the way down. He receives a call from Matisha Francis, right? We can agree to that, right?
Yes.
And then what's the origination location? What's the origination location at
I'll be
1:29?
back.
It says Orange, Texas.
You know that's where Kendrick Hebert lives, right? Or maybe you don't know that.
I don't know where he
The
is.
jury knows that. Okay, so Orange, Texas. Look down there at 2:38, where 2:38 p.m. and there's another phone call, an incoming call. Where's the location at that point?
It says Vinton, Louisiana.
You know where that is, sir?
Somewhere in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know where the precise town is.
Okay, so anybody who's driven from Orange, Texas to Lake Charles, Louisiana on I-10 would know where Vinton, Louisiana is, okay? What is the next location that you see on there?
The one after Vinton, Louisiana,
Uh-huh,
Sulphur, Louisiana.
okay. And then from 3:51 p.m. all the way up until the last entry, you see what location, sir?
It's cut off, but I assume that would be Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Okay, and what's the last entry?
It says Westlake, Louisiana.
You know where this incident occurred, sir?
Westlake sounds familiar. I believe
Mhm.
Westlake.
You know what hospital, you know where the hospital that Justin Francis was located at, sir?
I don't.
Lake Charles Memorial Hospital. Did you know that?
I may have at one time from reviewing, you know, one of the reports, but I don't recall right now. But
Do these phone records from Kendrick Hebert tell you that following his phone call that he received after almost an hour of ending his call with Mr. Francis, following the call that he received from Mrs. Francis' wife, he heads towards Westlake, Louisiana? Is that not what these phone records are telling you, sir?
I don't know if that's true or not.
You don't know? I thought you were a forensics expert on this kind of stuff, sir.
I haven't analyzed Kendrick's travel. I haven't seen evidence to be able to prove that to be true, and I haven't conducted that analysis here on these phone records. And I'm also skeptical that these phone records could even show that, as I think these phone records are more of an indication of the area code as opposed to the cell tower.
Sir, you told this jury that there was a possibility that Mr. Francis's incident occurred on a phone call with his brother, who was about to be the best man in his wedding. And you didn't look in to see why there was an hour and 20-minute gap between the next phone call he received after that phone call ended?
I didn't look into the gap because there was no other evidence to fill in the gap. Had I received text messages or Kendrick's phone to analyze, I might have been able to tell you if there was or was not a gap.
You didn't look into the fact that you did have evidence that following the phone call, the first phone call he received after the phone call with his brother from his brother's wife, that the locations took him directly from Orange, Texas to Westlake? You didn't look into that either, did you, sir?
That wasn't part of my analysis. I was focused on the incident window, which in my opinion is from 12:15:00 to 12:26:58. And anything, that 129 call and everything that follows is well past that window. And therefore, I did not focus on that as part of my analysis.
Sassel didn't ask you to look at that stuff, did they?
No.
But Sassel asked you to look at things from 6 a.m. all the way up until the time of the incident, true?
Not really. I reviewed the cell records. I received the evidence. I gained an understanding of what I thought based on the totality of evidence of when I thought this particular incident could have occurred. And I zeroed in on that area. I don't recall ever having anyone from Sassel or their counsel telling me to stick to any certain timeframes.
Let me ask you this, sir. It's common within your field of digital forensics to attempt to synchronize phone record data with other data that's pulled from other sources. It's true?
Correct.
And the purpose of doing that would be to confirm the accuracy of the data and the timestamps that you would be offering in any opinion that you would reach, correct?
That, and also just to gain an understanding of, the matter in general, to gain context.
You would agree that there were timestamp data from the involved locomotive and the remote control unit, correct?
Can you please re-ask that question?
You would agree that there was within your file timestamp data from the involved locomotive and the remote control unit, correct?
So by locomotive, are you referring to the EDR data?
Yeah.
And then the other item you mentioned, would that be
the remote control unit?
The throttle?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I don't know what the throttle is, and I simply leveraged the timestamps in the incident report, which is derived from the EDR data, as I understand it, as data points.
How do you understand it? Who told you that?
I'm sorry?
Who told you that?
Told me what?
That it was derived from the data.
Well, clearly, every single line item is to the second matching from the incident report to the EDR.
How about the throttle?
I'm sorry?
How about the throttle?
Objection asked and answered. We covered this.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so we're wrapping up with you. So you said you should be synchronizing the data and the timestamps to make sure that your timestamps that you're claiming are accurate. And we talked about that you didn't know what to do with the data from the locomotive and the remote control unit because you don't have that experience, right?
Correct. I merely leveraged the timestamps and carried them over.
You do have the expert experience to synchronize timestamps from video, right, sir?
I've brought in times from videos before.
You've done this time and time again, synchronized timestamps from phone records and available video, correct?
Yes.
you didn't see any video in this incident or of this sit yard from the time of this incident, correct?
I don't know anything about video in this matter. Correct.
Would it have been helpful to you if there were video for the purposes of synchronizing the time and being more accurate in formulating your conclusion, sir?
So given that I don't know anything about the videos, I can't speculate if it would have had helpful information or not, if they exist. For example, like, are there cameras? I don't know. Where are the cameras pointed? I don't know. Is the video footage being recorded? I don't know. Like, there's a lot that I just don't know. And I can't speculate one way or the other if it would be helpful.
Sir, regardless of where the video cameras were angled, the timestamps would have still been on that video, possibly, right?
Yes, however, if that camera is pointed towards Kroger, those timestamps bring no value whatsoever. That's an example. So the timestamps only bring value if they have relation to the matter.
And you don't know, you'll never know one way or another, correct?
As I sit here today, I don't know.
I have no further questions for this witness. I'll pass it with Sean.
All right. It's the lunch hour. We're gonna go fast. So really quickly, talked a lot about what information you can learn from a call log and what information you can't. Recall those questions?
Yes.
The truth is there's plenty of activities that one could engage in with their phone that's not logged in a AT&T call log. Is that fair?
Correct.
For example, does a call log indicate to you as a forensic expert how long it takes somebody to find phone calls to dial or to find phone numbers to dial on the phone?
No, yeah, the call log would not show that.
Does the call log indicate how long it takes somebody to compose a text message?
It does not.
Does a call log indicate how long it takes somebody to look for, I guess, what's called a GIF or an image to send to somebody else?
No, it doesn't.
Does a call log indicate how long somebody spends looking at email?
No.
Does a call log indicate how long somebody spends looking at on the internet?
No.
Does a call log indicate how long it would take somebody to shop for shoes?
No.
Fair to say there's plenty of possible cell phone activity that somebody could engage in, but that wouldn't be reflected on a cell phone call log. Is that fair?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Got nothing, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna break for lunch. It is now about 12:30. Your lunch is here and set up. We will break until about 1:15. I will remind you not to discuss this case amongst yourselves.
All rise for the jury.
We'll be in recess until 1:15.
Thank you, Your Honor.
When I was young, my daddy said, gotta keep one eye open in your bed, 'cause there's a time coming when the devil's gonna come for you. So my trigger fingers stay prepared. I've got my weapon and I got my prayers, 'cause if you don't run this town, they'll walk all over you. Run out loud, gotta run on, keep on running till the sun goes down. Run out loud, better on, run all day till you can't be found. Run out loud, gotta run on, keep on running till the sun goes down. You can outrun the devil, but you ain't gonna outrun me.